Golan-globus, we are here and we are ready to talk sports gambling. NCAA basketball. Murray, I can't wait to talk about it.
No, we're not talking about that.
That's what we're here to talk about.
No, we're not talking about gambling.
This is basketball.
This is a very important episode of Golan-globus Theater. We're doing a service to the world. I just want to get out of the way. We know why half of you are even listening. It's for our guest. Get out of the way. Jack Badelaire's back with us. Jack, how you doing?
Doing well. Got a drink in hand. Ready to talk World War III with you guys.
Before we get to that, though, we have something even more infuriating to me. Did you hear about this, Griff? Amazon.com bought MGM. Mm-hmm. MGM owns the Canon catalog. We are the podcast of Canon. Do we want Jeff Bezos having Canon films?
No catalog should belong to one group. This should be like public domain at this point because these are the most important movies to American culture.
We've never been more important because now people are going to come to us more than ever because they don't have to pay to watch these movies.
They're going to scrub all these movies.
They did. They already took them all off Tubi.
Yeah. Oh, they already took them off Tubi.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see who they're going to replace Steve James with. Like, because they're going to be like, they did him wrong. I mean, they did do him wrong. If they could swap Steve James with Duty, I would be like, Bezos is pretty cool.
What's your opinion on it, Jack? How do you feel?
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. So I do find it ridiculous that these mega corporations are just buying up the media catalogs. And to be fair, I'm a 21st century guy. I'm on a computer all the time. I watch movies via streaming all the time, but more and more I think that what I really need to do is go back through my collection of physical media and start plugging in the holes of films that I've never bothered to get a DVD or Blu-ray, because there's going to come a time where this stuff is just certain films are just going to be taken off of all the platforms, or the platforms are going to get tiered, so there will be certain movies will cost more, or you'll have to up your membership, or it's the cost of digitalization. But at the same time, what it means is one day you can watch a movie, the next day you can't.
It's the billionaires buying everything up. They're pushing us to the proverbial mountains. We're gonna have to fight for our lives pretty soon.
And all it takes is one person to be upset by something that occurred in a movie, and that movie just disappears. She's never to be seen again.
Yeah.
So I guess we've never been more important than ever, Griff.
You guys are like a beacon of freedom out there in the podcasting world.
Right, we're the movie archive.
Glad you said that. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, we've already claimed it. I mean, we've got the platform.
I mean, Jeff Bezos did offer us a ride in his spaceship, and we turned him down.
Well,
we said go to Pete Davidson for that shit. We're of the people.
I like this idea. We put Pete and Kanye in the same space shuttle. Let's let them
see
what
out. 2 men in or 1 man leaves.
I think that experience would finally bring them together, and maybe we can finally have happiness in this world. I'm getting
sick and tired of it's not enough that Bezos, Elon Musk, and Richard Branson own the planet.
Okay.
Now we got to like them now. Now we got to like be fans of them. Now they're on Saturday Night Live. They're on TV all the time. It's like, you know, the old days, the Robert Barron days with Carnegie and fucking JP Morgan. They were just fine just having all the money and just living in their palatial estates, and we never had to see them.
Look.
And now it's like, no, not only am I going to own everything, you have to love me too. Fuck you, you billionaires. I will always hate billionaires.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says.
I mean, my buddy yells at me every time we watch a football game because now it's a thing in football games where you have to show the owner of the team. Even the owners, even that guy who owns the Raiders, Mark Davis or something, with his weird little haircut and like his sad looking face. It's not enough that they have everything. They have to be loved too. They have to be seen on TV. They have to be appreciated for the fine things that they have. And it's just like, fuck you. So sick of it.
Yeah, so sorry, I had to get that.
Yeah, we got to get it off our
system. Don't worry, people. We'll if they get rid of all of the canon movies, we'll send them to you.
You're still allowed to listen if you think Elon Musk is kind of funny on Twitter.
No,
you're not.
Did you see him on Saturday Night Live?
No.
Okay, he's on the spectrum. He's totally.
Well, no, of course he is.
He's the worst.
Yeah. Stating Grimes. Oh wait, no, they're
done.
Yeah,
he had 2 kids with him.
Named 12XAY.
Yeah, and then another weird kid, and
yeah, I think.
Did you hear she wanted to direct Dune?
Of course she did.
And she said it wasn't woken off. She's like, they kicked me off because she was going to be the main influencer for the Dune movie. Apparently, that's a thing. They hire influencers. And they got rid of her, and she said some kind of conspiracy.
Wait, is this a thing?
I don't even know who this woman is. I just know she has a kid with Elon Musk. Is she a musician? What is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
She does like electric pop, I think.
Oh, right up my alley.
It's right up your alley. You're really into that.
Know what's up my alley? Killing communists. And that's why we brought our... It's weird. I just shit on capitalism. Now I'm like, kill communists. Where do I stand?
Before we go that far, I needed to ask Jack. You brought up a question. You're like, I wish Jack were here. And then I kept confusing Jack's. So you brought up Serpico or something, or Serpentico, or some kind of movie with Benicio del Toro, and he was shooting...
Oh, yeah, Sicario.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About how he was shooting.
Oh, yeah. You saw the second Sicario, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's
been
a few years.
Yeah, but you got to remember the scene because we were always talking like everyone's trying to come up with a new way to look badass. Of course, there was the John Woo sideways gunshot. Now, do you remember when he's holding the gun? So he's holding the handgun in his right hand and he's pulling the trigger with his left index finger.
Oh, the scene where he kills the guy in the street and he goes bam, 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 bam. Yeah, it's idiotic. I don't.
Okay,
I
good.
don't understand it.
I mean, I give it. He was trying something new. I give. Oh, that's fine, but it looks stupid as all hell. Okay,
it was ridiculous, mostly because the gun work in those two movies it actually looks pretty good. Like they seem to move well, they shoot well, they're using their sights, they're keeping their elbows in, no chicken wings. Which is when you're holding the gun and your elbows are sticking like straight out from your body, which is terrible.
Yeah. You paint a picture. Technique. You got it. You got the talent for podcasting.
And then he pulls that, and I have no idea what that is supposed to be. Just shoot him twice, and you're done, dude. Like you don't need to empty your magazine into this guy, and you certainly don't need to do it with that weird finger waggle trigger technique.
Right now, a bunch of cops are disagreeing with you. They're like, "You don't empty your magazine into people."
A bunch of people wearing "We the People" shirts right now are very frustrated. I gotta say, like you brought up magazines. The first time I saw like a cop came to school for the DARE program or something, the cop was like, "Do you kids want to ask us questions?" And we're like, like somebody was like, "How many bullets are in that clip?" And he slapped his hands on the table. It's called a magazine. We were 8. Little Griff sitting here with his hoop earring dangling it in this cop's ear. Like, are you really going to talk to me this way?
That guy is on some Facebook gun group, and that's all he does is goes in there to this day and types all caps rants about how leftist gun critics can't talk about gun control if they don't know the difference between a clip and a magazine. Yeah. That's happening right now. That guy's out there doing this today.
I remember.
I didn't know the clip was offensive. Is that an offensive term?
I remember just a few years ago when Obama took all the guns away, and then Trump came
they're
around
all
and gave all
gone.
the guns back out, and then
Yeah.
Biden's back, and now no one has guns again.
Yeah.
That's why Russians going to evade us. Are we ready to talk Russia?
Yes, we are.
Wait, are we talking clip versus magazine first? I don't know. What's happening here?
No, I think we're talking drones versus pitchforks.
By the way, I just
don't know.
want to tell everyone
Yeah.
listening, yeah, it's going to be a long one. This is going to be a long episode.
Yeah.
But you're going to enjoy it.
Buckle up, cath up.
Yeah.
I
Crack
got nothing
open a
else.
6-pack of American brewed beer. None of that
Right.
foreign stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Keep your
Coors.
commie brews out of your hot little hands.
Mm-hmm.
There should be nothing but American made swill.
I poured all my vodka.
You got to
down
be
the
drinking
drain.
Coors. This takes place in Colorado, so we're drinking
Oh.
Coors.
I
Ice
am
cold
drinking
Coors.
rye whiskey right now,
Mm.
just to celebrate the Americanness of this cinema.
Is it
masterpiece.
is it Templeton? Because that's what I have behind me.
I've got Bullet, actually.
Drinking a bullet.
The Get
I-
Even reference right there.
Oh shit! Did you actually
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to watch that, Jack?
I have not.
Okay. You'll get why I said that in whenever you get around to it.
Yeah. The reason Jack, besides the fact that we love him and he's a great guest, the reason Jack is on here is because when he came on, when we have our guests on, we like to ask him, what are some movies that, really resonate with you that you really would like to talk about? Because obviously you want guests to be excited about, coming on.
That's the whole point of the show is get excited about talking about dumb movies.
And one of the movies he brought up was Red Dawn. And and then I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but the Ukraine apparently has been invaded by the Russia. And it's really going bad.
Apparently.
And there's a lot of similarities to Red Dawn and to what's going on right now. And in fact, it's kind of funny that we kind of laugh. We're like, well, how is 8 kids going to stop the Russian army? And then it sounds like it doesn't seem that out of that crazy, because it sounds like Ukraine is having no problem with Russia right now.
You got guys out there with farm tractors dragging T-80 main battle tanks back to their barns. It's like, come on.
Have
Yeah,
you been-
it's. I just want to say that we're gonna laugh a lot today, but we're laughing at a movie, not at the world situation today, because
Oh,
it
of
is
course,
depressing.
Yes,
I feel like Ukraine, unless something changes, they're winning every little battle, it feels like, but they may not win the war. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows what's going to happen? It's a horrible thing to watch, and it really is kind of a shock to people, younger people, I think, especially. I mean, segueing back to this movie, that those of us 40 plus, let's say, growing up in the 70s and 80s, where we're too young for the whole Cuban Missile Crisis thing, so we all kind of felt that it was going to be conventional war before nuclear war, or maybe there wouldn't be full-blown global thermonuclear war, but we all thought about it. I grew up in Alaska in the late 70s and early 80s, and
You're right next
there
door to
were
Russia. You're too close.
strategic military assets all through the states. And if there ever was a World War III between the U.S. and Russia, there would have been, B-52 bombers and F-15 fighter groups flying out of Elmendorf. And, we would have been sitting there on the mountaintops with binoculars watching the mushroom clouds, So all the people I knew, everyone was a survivalist or a hunter-gatherer wacko type. I mean, Alaska in the 70s is where all the weirdos went to when they wanted to escape civilization, to the last bastion of sort of American frontierness. The American Midwest was all populated and was all football games and cornfields and pickup trucks. It's like you went to Alaska if you wanted to get away from people and you wanted to build a cabin out in the middle of nowhere, which is exactly what my dad did. So, this sort of living off the land, fighting the commies kind of wet dream American fantasy. this is what I grew up with. I remember the first time I watched Red Dawn. I'm sure it was, who knows, 9 months to a year after the movie came out. But we went over to a friend's house. At the time, my family didn't have a VHS player. But we had friends who did, and they rented the movie. And it was all, several families got together, popcorn movie night style, and watched Red Dawn in someone's living room. I was a little kid. I was probably 8 years old at the time when we were watching this. And I was like, holy fucking shit. This is how it's going to go down, And then for years, it was like burned into my mind. It's like, yes, you get the hunting rifle, and then you get the backpack, and you go up into the wilderness, and you wait to snipe commies as they drive their armored columns through town, and then you disappear, live off the land, and oh my god, yeah. So these kids in this movie that we're about to discuss, like, these are the kids that I was growing up as an even younger kid to prepare myself to become one day. So yeah, this movie is very formative in the psyche of one Jack Badelaire.
I love it. Like that perfect, that golden age of when it hits you, and it's just really has an impact. Because like Home Alone did that to me. I thought burglars were going to break into my house, so I would make traps and everything.
It's a good comparison.
And the other one was I never got it. It wasn't until years later I understood what the scene was supposed to be. But in Ace Ventura, after he helps out the one lady, he grabs like the rafters, and then the camera like just shows his face. He was getting a blowjob. And I never got that because I was young and innocent. But that scene stuck with me because I was like, what is happening?
That's quite the scene to stick with a young mind.
Yeah, he got stuck right up in there. So yeah, burglars, and what the fuck was Jim Carrey doing in that scene? That's stuck in my mind.
Yeah, well, the 80s, this was basically, we just lived under the threat of we're going to die in nuclear. I mean, shit, like, we live outside of Detroit. We're going to get bombed because Detroit has all the factories.
We got a lot of factories.
I grew up literally 2 blocks away from a General Motors factory. So, yeah, I would have been incinerated.
Oh, yeah. And you got Fermi. We got Fermi in Michigan, too.
So, yeah, so it was like, and then you had, like, that was the heyday of the post-apocalyptic movies and shit. And you're just like, oh, yeah, we're going to fucking die. Nuclear bomb. You had The Day After. Did you watch The Day After, Jack?
It must have been ages and ages ago, but yeah. Yeah. And actually, if you think about the other sort of war cautionary tale cinema of the time, Red Dawn actually paints a pretty picture. It's, we exchanged a few nukes, but then everyone realized that wasn't a good idea. So we stopped doing that and just went back to conventional warfare as opposed to, Mad Max style annihilation or something even worse. So, yeah, I mean, this movie is kind of a rosier picture of all that.
But don't you think that
so weird? Like, it's grim and it's relentless and it's violent and, and it's traumatizing. But then you say to yourself, yeah, but we win at the end.
Well, because we always win. We're America. Come on.
Right.
We always win.
And, of course, they got their plaque. And unlike last week with Rambo, they got a parade. Everyone saluted them.
Oh.
So it all worked out. That's all you need to do. Oh, and we support the troops on the back of your truck nuts.
On your truck nuts.
On your truck nuts. That's the most patriotic way to display your support of the troops, because it's like testicles are troops themselves. So that's like doubling down.
So
you paint the truck nuts like red, white, and blue.
Of course.
Well, yeah, red, white, and blue, because these colors don't run.
Red, white, and blue balls. We all know about that.
So that's what Rambo's got is red, white, and blue. I like that. I don't know why. It works. Rambo did fine, but he was over in Vietnam. He couldn't help out these poor kids. He would have dropped down in the middle.
He would have been Powers Booth's character. He would have told them how to kill Russians with bow and arrows. And
yeah, I was wondering. I was like, I recognize this motherfucker because that's Coach, right?
No, It's not Coach.
We've done this before. I never recognized Powers Booth. I always confuse him for Coach.
You think he's Craig T. Nelson?
Craig T. Nelson.
No, it's
That's
not.
who I keep
No.
confusing.
Powers
him for.
Booth a little cooler than Craig T. Nelson.
Actual name? Did he change it for acting?
What?
Did he change his name for acting?
It had. I don't know. I think so. Do you think Powers Booth was his real name?
That's the silence means yes. That's
Wait, are you asking me if I think Powers Booth is his real name?
Yes.
There's no.
I'm just going to IMDb right now to find out.
Oh, okay. You need
it's a great name, by the way.
We're gonna send you one of the loudest mechanical keyboards next time. So when
and then after that, check if Rip Torn is his real name.
Yeah.
Oh, his birth name is Powers Allen Booth.
Oh wow. He was. You're like you're born to be a badass with that name.
There you go. Snyder, Texas, USA, June 1st, 1948. So, yeah.
So now this movie was directed by John Milius, the master of war porn.
War yes.
Porn. Oh, okay.
You want to explain
what's another war porn genre or title?
What?
What's another war porn title so we can
anything that gets your dick hard for war? Rambo, we just did.
Okay, Rambo's a war porn. Okay.
Yeah. You want to explain John Milius to our listeners, Jack?
It's really hard to explain John Milius because the thing is, he's a diehard right-wing conservative, warmongery, action aficionado type guy who was personally devastated that he could not become a Marine because he wanted to go to Vietnam with like every fiber of his being. And yet at the same time, like he understands in some way that like war is awful. Like it's a terrible thing. I mean, it's that classic, I guess you'd say like mid 20th century kind of American view that like war is bad. It's a horrible thing. People die, people are maimed, people are ruined forever. It destroys societies. And yet as he's often quoted kind of as saying that like every young man like secretly wants to go prove himself in war, no matter whether he's willing to admit it or not. Like that's one of the John Milius quotables out there.
Yeah, Grandpa Simpson had that line of thinking too.
Yeah, this is his perfect movie to kind of demonstrate that like war is awful. These kids, some of them die in just like the most ignominious ways, but at the same time, like their deaths have meaning, and it's. And then he kind of complained that, Hollywood blacklisted him because it's filled with liberals and all this sort of stuff. But it's like, Milius was also like a very highly regarded, screenplay doctor. He wrote a lot of, screenplays. He directed some really good movies. I mean, not masterpiece movies, but like, I love The Wind and the Lion. I love Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, yeah.
He's a weird, conflicting kind of guy that you kind of like because he is so weird and so earnest in the way he believes his stuff. And I have no idea what his sort of political compass is pointing, today. I can only hope that despite his right-wing sensibilities that he wouldn't be a full-blown QAnon Trumper kind of guy, but you just never know. Like some people out there that you thought would be pretty normal have gone completely around the bend. So
fuck the
guy. I don't want to pull back that curtain and find out.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to stay very far away from those questions because, like, the guy who did that game, Earthworm Jim, that guy's insane. Like, I've heard him like do conversations with leftist people. He is fucking way out there, and not just like a huge Trumper guy. He's into the whole Q level of like the weird Christianity part of it too. So he's all over
Not
the place.
the guy who did Earthworm Jim.
I
We
know.
lost him.
That's a reference for our demo audience that is not usually my age.
No, but the thing about Milius is he has this knack for tapping into that reptilian caveman part of your brain that you get pumped for his shit. I fucking love Conan the Barbarian.
We need that in more action movies today. We don't get enough of
you know,
it.
and he fucking wrote screenplay. He wrote screenplay for Apocalypse Now, right? Or he just
yeah. Or for a lot of the stuff where he gets credit as the writer, he's not. Oftentimes, he got brought in to rewrite or write sections of things, or just do some script cleanup. So for a lot of his writing credits, what he wrote and what he didn't write is a little contentious.
Dang.
Apparently he wrote the Indianapolis scene and Jaws, where they're talking about the sinking of the ship and the shark.
Yeah, right.
Stuff like that. And he there's other, parts of scripts that he supposedly tinkered with here and there. But no, Tim's right. Like, he very much taps into that, the Robert E. Howard, the Conan the Barbarian, lizard brain kind of, where you just, what's the quote? You want to spit on your hands and hoist the pirate flag and start slitting throats, kind of,
I don't know if that's the thing, but I like it. Spit on your hand and hoist the Jolly Roger. I like it.
If you Google it, you'll find it. I forget who the fuck said it. But no, that's Milius. Is that you're right. He taps into that deep down, whether you want to admit it or not. You just want to grab your hatchet and your rifle and go up into the mountains and just tell the world to fuck off. And if anyone tries to take your parcel from you, you're going to blow their brains out, and it's an ugly, regressive kind of mindset. But when you put it on the big screen, set to like some Polydorus music, with these wide cinematic shots, you're like, yes, fuck yes. Bring the commies. Let their goddamn paratroops rain from the sky. I'll shoot them dead before they even hit the ground. And then I'll run out into the field and I'll slit their throats and I'll take their guns and I'll, scamper back into the wilderness and wait for the next wave to come. That's what you feel like when you watch his stuff. So whatever his sensibilities are, whatever faults he's got, I mean, for the time in which he was making movies, like he just checked off that particular box, that vibe that just got you. I mean, not super, super popular, but popular enough to just keep coming back and, working for a long time.
And I like that you pointed this out, where he did such a good job with Red Dawn here, where it's not so much about a foreign fight. It was Russians sneaking into America, where we all got to pull on our boots and pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and everything, and the kids hunkered down. Like, he knew how to hit his audience and make it about America's being attacked, and not so much like the many wars that we carry on with. Like, he did a good job of that.
I do kind of laugh in a dark way about the fact that in this movie he keeps referencing American Native American fighting tactics.
Blood.
Drink the blood of the dead deer, which some fucking horse shit. Like, okay, you know what? Like, I grew up around hunters and woodsmen, and no one was telling me to drink the blood of the dead deer. Okay,
did you eat frozen whale or seal?
I did not live that far north. I lived quite into the interior, but we did have a lot of dried salmon. Dried smoked salmon, yes.
Yeah, I was thinking, what
bear meat and moose meat and stuff like that. It happened.
What major city did you live closest to in Alaska?
If you look at the center of Alaska, almost exactly in the middle, there's a relatively small town called Fairbanks.
Okay.
And we lived an hour south of that in a very, very tiny town called Nenana. And it's most notable for having an airfield, a river, the Alaskan Highway, and the Alaskan Railroad kind of all went through it. So the only reason it exists is because it's got like 4 major modes of transportation that all sort of pass through it at the same time. But it was really just a town of drunks, which is sad to say, but people died frozen in snowbanks like every year. And just it was not a pleasant place, honestly, to live.
I mean, the Midwest is bad enough for drunks, but I can't imagine being up in Alaska.
There's not a lot to do, so I can imagine you get fucked up.
Yeah.
And then you had to deal with like being like light outside for like months, right?
No, I mean, I walked to school as a very young child. It wasn't very far, but I walked to school in the dark, and I walked home in the dark. And we did not live far enough north that during the summer it was light out all the time, but it would be light until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And then during the winter, you'd get maybe like 4 hours of daylight. So
perfect place for a vampire to live.
30 days a night. Wasn't that what it's called?
30 days a night. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Should we get into this like movie?
Should we actually talk about the film itself?
I mean, currently we're only like 10 minutes over the normal amount of time. I feel like for a true catheter experience, we're going to go for 15 more minutes.
All right, I'm going to throw to the trailer, and then we'll get balls deep into this movie.
Is that a direction from me, or are you actually telling the audience we're throwing?
I'm talking to the audience here. All right, everybody, get ready for every doomsday prepper's wet dream. The Russians are coming, but one thing they didn't know is that every American is born with a gun in their hand. So, everybody, insert your catheter in 3, 2, 1. Here's the trailer for Red Dawn.
What's going on here, my friend?
This is the emergency broadcast system. We are under attack by conventional forces of the Russian army. It is believed the lead waves were disguised as commercial charter flights. Communications have broken down with other parts of the country. Large areas of the Midwest may have been overrun.
They know who all of you are. They're looking for you.
You're 40 miles behind enemy lines.
I just want to go home.
They took a lot of people away.
Where's my dad, Mr. Eckert?
One of us loves somebody, Andy. I'm gonna die before it happens.
They're gonna kill us! All of us!
So why should we be different?
Because we live here!
Not bad for a bunch of kids, huh? Mama'd be real proud.
Soviet Union suffers worst wheat harvest in 55 years. Labor and food riots in Poland. Soviet troops invade. Cuba and Nicaragua reach troop strength goals of 500,000. El Salvador and Honduras fall. Greens Party gains control of West German parliament. Demands withdrawal of nuclear weapons from European soil. Mexico plunged into revolution. NATO dissolves. United States stands alone. And that is how the world's going to end, people. Right there.
Right there.
Apparently, it sounds like Putin has been watching Red Dawn because he wants NATO to dissolve, and he's fucking around with Poland.
Hey, when you got a good plan, you got a good plan. He's a fan of John Mazzarelli.
John Milius.
Milius. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna fuck that up all up. So Milius. But yeah, he knew something.
I want to point out this also was the very first PG-13 movie.
Is it?
Yeah. Wanted to see it. I was too young.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't sneak in the theater? You didn't Wolverine it?
No, I didn't. I didn't know about the Wolverines.
Oh.
Also, of course, we're going by IMDb.
Your other site,
LGBTQ. That this movie was originally supposed to be set in our state of Michigan, up in the UP. So apparently, they're originally going to come from Canada down to invade us. In this movie, they come from Mexico and go up because it takes place in Colorado.
I mean, the heart of this country runs through Michigan's Upper Peninsula, so it makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense that they're called the Wolverines now.
Well, kind of, yeah. Makes a little more sense.
So I just want to let that out there for you. A little behind the scenes info.
Yeah. So when you hear Kid Rock say he put Detroit City back on the map, no. When Red Dawn came out,
I don't know where you're going with this.
Neither do I.
So let's just start out with this movie. Serene, peaceful town, real America, Griff.
Oh, this is giving David Lynch shivers.
Were you getting a little, Jack? Were you getting a little nostalgia? Was this kind of like what it looked like when you were growing up? This little town.
I actually have to say, I mean, it does not look like Maine because Maine is a little more wooded. Things are a little closer. But it actually looks a lot like what Alaska looks like because certain parts of Alaska are very flat and very open like that.
Oh.
You know, Alaska in large stretches of it is sort of an Arctic desert in a way. So it's that flat, open kind of grassland with trees sort of interspersed throughout it. So it does look very much like that. And yeah, the small town America, it's always, I think, shocking to people who grew up on the coasts to see those like vast stretches of nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's this,
not for us. We're used to it here.
Yeah.
There's no mountains.
But, you know,
there.
it's just like this tiny little town out in the Midwest, you know, southern Midwest. And, you know, it's so 1980s. I mean, of course, this is Hollywood dreamed up, but, you know, this is how people kind of live. You drive your pickup truck to school, you drop off your friends, and you talk about the big game, and it's all little gas stations and, you know, ice cream shops. And
I mean, this has a lot more of a southern vibe to it, but Colorado, you know, close enough.
It's just real America. Greg.
It's just real America. It really is. It's just real
America. Not socialist, commie Massachusetts America.
You mean Taxachusetts? Yeah.
Taxachusetts. Massholes.
Now, this movie has a cornucopia of up-and-coming 80s stars. We got your Patrick Swayzes. We got your Charlie Sheens. We got your C. Thomas Howells.
Wait, Charlie Sheen?
Yes. He was Matt, the brother.
Oh, he was.
We got Jennifer Grey before she was Dirty Dancing. We got Leah Thompson, the mom from Back to the Future.
Leah Thompson.
Yeah,
I recognized her.
Stars everywhere.
Oh, and we have more stars to reveal later, too. Or do you want to reveal them now?
We'll reveal them when they come up.
Oh, boy.
We got people that we consider stars.
Oh, my favorite, Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah, we got it right.
I did get it right.
He called him Henry Dean Stanton earlier.
I always forget.
So,
I love that guy, though.
We got Big Bro Jed, played by Patrick Swayze, in his pickup truck. Did he have a gun rack? He had to have a gun rack, didn't he?
He had a gun rack. Oh, yeah.
Thank him. Real America. Real America.
Fuck yeah, you got a gun rack.
Back in the pre-Obama days when you could drive with a loaded gun in your car. Right. Fucking Russia is going to rule us pretty soon here.
Now he's dropping off little bro Matt, played by Charlie Sheen. And was Aardvark with him?
Yes.
Okay.
Aardvark, the one Mexican kid in the movie, and he's called Aardvark.
But that leaves me with the questions. How do you get that nickname? Like, I really
that was his whole character right there. I was wondering why he got his nickname because he had no lines. I don't think
Milius knew how to play on it.
There's nothing. He's just the brown kid who's with the white kids. I mean, that's it. It's horrible to say it, but like that's it. That's his only. It's like I want to see the character treatment for his character for this film. It's probably 3 lines.
Yeah. I mean, if you were making this movie today, people would call it up, be like, well, clearly he's the token friend, so they don't look racist.
Right. Just the right amount of brown people in this city is basically what they're going for. So now we go to class. The kids, they're goofing off. They're just fun-loving kids. We got the teacher.
Passing notes, doing the Chinese cradle crypt or whatever that's called.
Yeah, I don't know what
it's called. Cat's cradle?
We got the teacher. He's talking about Genghis Khan to these kids. He's teaching them about battle tactics.
Are we trying to, like, foreshadow?
I think they were. Do you think they're trying to foreshadow, like they were through osmosis picking up some of the tactics of Genghis?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I've got so many problems with how these kids, like, overnight. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, we've learned about Native American hunting tactics, and therefore we can take on an entire Soviet division. But I mean, I think it's just more interesting that here we are talking about Asiatic invasion, with this sort of like encirclement and annihilation style, and they wipe out everyone in their path. And like, as he's lecturing about this, you see parachutes dropping from the sky. And, what's going on out there, children? I'll go take a look and see. It's like,
This is
I'm
perfect.
glad you pointed something out that really irritates me about modern movies now. The character who decides he's a badass, but just because he decides he's a badass, he becomes a badass. Like, he just I mean, look, you can decide, like, I'm no longer going to be afraid. I'm not going to let people bully me.
Nobody,
but you can't
again.
just be like, I'm going to be a badass, kick-ass motherfucker now because I just decided that. And then the character just starts kicking ass, like beating the shit out of people. It's like, that's not how it works.
Did you have this problem with the Mohawk Kid and the Karate Kid reboot TV series thing?
No, because he got taught karate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when he learned karate, then he became a shit.
Became an asshole. That makes sense. He learned it. But yeah, the paratroop was fun. Of course, remember, this is America. So we see people with guns. We're like, okay, this is normal. We don't like,
that's the Michigan militia, guys.
Right.
No big deal. They're like, let's go put out some brownies.
The Blue Angels in town. Like, what's going on? Like, we're cool with this.
Right. We're just going to sell them some corn dogs or
So
something.
the teacher's like, excuse me, sir, can I help you? And they just blast the motherfucker.
He just thinks that they're like military guys who got blown off course. I think he actually says that at one point. Oh, these boys are way off course. And
despite the fact they're in Colorado, they're showing off a little bit of that Midwest charm. Hey, folks, are you lost or something?
Right.
Yeah, that's all we do.
And then we killed the one black guy movie.
Yeah.
In the whole movie by machine gunning him 5 minutes and 15 seconds in the film.
They just fucking unload. They start shooting the classroom. A kid's like hanging out a window and shit. It's like, hey.
I mean, this is a tactic. I mean, this is what Russia's doing apparently over there today. So again, Putin he doesn't even have a plan. Just like the South Park, he's just lonely about his sad wiener, and he just wants to go into 80s nostalgia.
Now, was Jed I think Jed was just hanging out at the football field reminiscing about when his life mattered, because why is he there?
This had to be.
He comes back really quickly for some reason. He drops them off, and then how much time passes? They're already in class being lectured to. And then Jed's suddenly there like 30 seconds later in this pickup truck.
Here's my theory. Dazed and Confused comes out a couple years later. They saw Patrick Swayze in this and said, that's a character right there. The cool kid who thinks he's so cool, but he hangs out at the high school after he's graduated and just checking out girls. That was a Jeopardy fucking final question. What was the first line Matthew McConaughey uttered in that movie?
Wow, they're really lowering the bar.
What was it, though? What was it?
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, they're really lowering the bar at Jeopardy, like I said.
Anyone can win Jeopardy now.
So, Chad being the American hero, football star. Oh, we got a break?
Oh, okay. We'll just break now.
Oh, I thought you were talking. I thought the time was running out.
That was 3 minutes.
Okay.
That's all. Okay, we'll just take 1 minute here. No one wants to give us a free option anymore.
Told you, it's fucking Bezos, dude. It's that mentality. It's like our whole life is just going to be renting shit now. We're never going to be able to own anything. We can't own our houses. We can't own our entertainment.
All right.
You got to seize the means of production.
Damn right.
Look at here, Colonel Bella talking right now. What's up with this? So apparently Jed was getting a hand job from like a fucking freshman behind the bleachers. He's just there for some reason.
Who knows?
So he's just like, oh shit, guns are going off.
He's in a small town.
Asked her to finish, and then he's like, hurry up. And then he jumped in the truck, takes off.
I don't know. I think the excitement spooked him and he just
Lost it
a little early.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he's like, kids, get in. Even the Mexican kid, get in. And they all jump in his pickup. This is why you need a gas guzzling F-150, Griff. You never know when the Russians are going to attack, and you got to get a bunch of kids in your truck. You couldn't fit
exactly.
You only fit 3 kids in my car.
I gotta say, I didn't even notice how little they featured the make and model of this truck. I feel like if it were a modern movie, we would have saw it like go over rocks, like a commercial.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know it was a Ford. Was it a Ford truck?
It'd have to be. Come on, it's America. It's real America. We don't drive foreigner cars.
But it's Colorado. It could have been a Chevy Avalanche or whatever they're called.
I don't know. But he picks up the kids and like, we got to get the fuck out of town. So they're driving. We're seeing people getting rounded up.
That was the perfect time to say it's time to get out of Dodge because we just made 3 car references.
It is a Chevy.
It is a Chevy.
We see like tanks coming in. People are getting rounded up. Aardvark's dad gets picked up.
Why did he? Okay, I didn't think he would. I thought he was Italian because he goes, Papa, Papa. So he was actually like Latin or something?
Yeah.
No shit. All right.
And they go straight to Mr. Morris's, who is Robert's father, C. Thomas Howell. Go to his gas station, which apparently, I don't know about gas stations here. In Alaska, were there gas stations that sold weapons and guns?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm sure someone who grew up in like Cambridge, Massachusetts would sort of be like, what is this? But no, like small town America like this. I mean, even growing up in Maine in the mid to late 80s, where it's much more sort of densely populated, I guess you would say. I mean, still small towns, but much closer together. The gas stations having things like, guns and ammunition, mostly hunting stuff. Because that's the thing, you're going out of town and you're like, oh, shoot, we forgot, more beans, or I left the box of ammunition for my 30-06. So pick that up. I mean, the grocery store I bagged groceries at when I was a teenager had a whole rack of hunting rifles and like thousands of rounds of ammunition right there by the checkout register. So I'm not flummoxed by this idea that they drive up to the pump and scoot and can load up. I mean, I think it's probably a little excessive, but I don't know. This is also, you see just in that scene, which I'm looking at, they're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is also a kind of a phenomenon where this guy's little corner country store, which is the gas station / whatever, there's probably people out there with little farms and homesteads where like this is the only place they go except for like the big drive into Calumet, once a month or whatever. So of course this guy's got a whole bunch of stuff, and of course he's got rifles and shotguns and
long
bows and arrows and fun stuff like that.
This described like such a miserable life to me. Like it's out there, and I feel bad for your childhood, Jack, because I just feel like I would go nuts.
I need to know.
I get why you're really into reading and shit now, because that's all you had to do. I mean,
I need to know. Maybe you've been to the Midwest. I don't know if it's a Midwest or just a Michigan thing. When you hear somebody say, "I'm going to go down to the party store," what would you think they're about to get?
Party store. I would assume it's not like a party favors store, that it's something, I don't know, like a liquor store. Around here we call those package stores.
Yeah.
So you go to the packy.
Yeah, you're on the right trail there.
Party store is a uniquely Michigan thing.
Yeah.
It's the place. It's the convenience store basically. It's 7-Eleven basically.
Yeah, it's a liquor
shit
store
that you would get to have a party: chips, booze, pop, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
For us here in New England, a package store is almost exclusively a liquor store.
Okay.
I mean, it might have like a little rack of snacks, but it's not a convenience store that has that, because at least in Massachusetts, liquor licenses are very specific, so it's hard for a little like convenience store to have something other than maybe like beer and wine. So you would have a convenience store, and then you would have a package store, and that's a liquor store.
Okay.
So
there's none of the mixing of the booze and the other stuff.
All we do is mix. And if you go down to some of the sketchier looking party stores, that's where you get the really interesting chips. That's where I get my hot chips from, because they have the weird flavors. Yeah. Hot Funyuns.
And I want to say this is a very accurate scene, because they totally gear up on shit teenage boys would gear up on: Coca-Cola,
Rice
Krispie treats, and olives. Olives for some reason.
There's always that one kid. But it all makes sense. All that stuff, long shelf life. Those olives will never go bad.
Right.
I mean, they're just pure sodium, so they just never go bad.
So they pack up all that shit. They get their guns, they get the bow and arrows, and Mr. Morris is like, "Look, kids, this bug out of town. Go to the mountains. Go to the mountains.
Yeah, don't come back down. I'll contact you when it's like I'll contact you guys with information." Which it does. I don't think he ever contacts them. I think they find him somehow later, right?
Yeah,
he gets killed. He gets killed.
Yeah.
He gets killed.
He gets killed off camera.
He did.
Yeah,
because they later say that he gets killed because he was enabling guerrillas or aiding and abetting guerrillas, because he lets the kids take the guns and the shotguns and stuff. So.
Okay.
He's Robert's dad, so that's why Robert flips out and starts killing people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the guy they visited in the cabin?
That's Mr. Mason.
Mason. No, these motherfuckers, they ruined my notes, because I think I kept calling him Morris.
So no, Mr. Morris is the gas station owner. He's a different guy.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
Morris, Mason, Danny, Daryl. They needed to name these people better. So
we did a
40 years later, when you're doing a golan-globus podcast about it, you could accurately remember who was who.
Hey, tell me about it. We did a Kojak episode where there's a characters named Donnie, Johnny, and Sonny. All right.
Oh
super
my God.
confusing.
It was the worst.
Slap the writer who did that.
Yeah. Right. Hey, impactful episode though. Really hit me.
It made me a fan.
Exactly.
Go listen to it, people. So now they bug out of town. Literally a mile down the road, there's a roadblock.
Yeah, they're all cheering. They're like, "Oh my God, happiness! We're gonna be able to hit the mountains." And they just see that black little anthill on the horizon. They're like, "Oh, what the fuck is that?" And as Jag gets closer and closer, he's like, "Oh, guys, I got a bad feeling about this, and it's not the cum on my jeans from that hand job I got earlier."
So, but thank God there was some patriotic. There must have been an air base near here.
Thank God they're driving a Chevy, because they go off road over a fucking
right.
I can't think of what those fences are called. The barbed wire fence.
Barbed wire fence, yeah.
Doesn't even affect the truck. Yeah.
And we're like, oh shit, we're gonna lose our heroes right away. But no, one American chopper is there, and takes out the roadblock.
I think it was Airwolf.
But apparently, in 1985, antifreeze did not come to Colorado yet, because they're still using water in their radiators.
Well, think about what we're talking about here. This is the 80s. We could barely get Coors on the east side of the Mississippi, so they couldn't get coolant over on the west side of the Mississippi.
I don't know, but this is we're talking about Aardvark. Aardvark's only character trait is being called Aardvark.
Yeah.
This is we learn out Danny's only character trait. He can urinate inside a radiator,
but he's nervous about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's never. He's a kid. He's want to shower with the rest of the kids. He's pee shy.
Yeah, he's pee shy.
I do want to say Patrick Swayze is amazing in this movie. Like him telling Danny, because he's like, I don't know, we don't have any water, and someone's like, we could pee in it, and he's like, you know what, Danny, that's a great idea. Get up there, piss it. It looks so natural. Like Patrick Swayze, is he a really good actor?
Yeah, I guess.
Like
Maybe. I don't know. He
I
had
only-
kind of a career.
he
He made a
like,
few movies in his time. Oh,
he's in the weirdest movies that no one associates with being like good. They're associated with being like, God, that's kind of a dumb movie, but it's good.
Oh, you love Ghost. Come on.
I've never seen that one.
Neither have I. So, but I have seen Red Dawn. Now, so what? Did the radiator get hit with a bullet? Because they do get hit with bullets because the radio
Yes.
gets shot. They had a boombox. That
Yes,
gets
yeah.
shot. And so Danny pisses in the radio, which,
Apparently.
which helps. Well, yeah, because I guess it makes sense because they need enough to get to the mountains because we never see this car ever again.
Yeah.
So the car is trashed.
Right.
So now we cut to downtown. It's being destroyed. This is where we meet one of our villains, kind of anti-hero. He's conflicted.
Yeah.
Colonel Bella, played by the great Ron O'Neal from
Ooh.
Superfly.
We just talked about
We
him
just talked about
and,
Superfly last month. Check it out.
and his wig. He no longer has a wig, anybody. And we see why he wore a wig.
Oh, he's going full on. I'm proud to have my horseshoe hair, and I don't give a fuck what anybody
He looks
thinks.
amazing.
He does. Well, because he's got the mustache.
Ron O'Neal, you're a king. You don't need the wig.
Well, yeah, and he
It worked for
agrees.
Superfly, though. His character would have done that.
So this is character Colonel Bella. He's a Cuban because they're commies too, people. The commies don't just begin and end with Russia.
Yeah.
They're all over him.
And obviously, this has to be a play on the Cuban Missile Crisis, right?
Well, no, he's a,
Well, I thought Russia was trying to house missiles
Yeah,
in
they
Cuba,
were.
so it's still like, yeah, we're tag team partners.
yeah, well, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Nikita
I think
and
it says in the beginning, it's like
Bella.
the Cubans, the Nicaraguans, and the Russians kind of team up for this. I
Yeah,
think that's like the triumvirate that sort of, yeah.
yeah, well, yeah. That's what I mean. They
And then
mentioned
like Mexico has like a socialist revolution, and I think just from like the scroll in the beginning, they don't that Mexico isn't actively involved in the invasion, but that like the Cubans and the Nicaraguans come up through Mexico, who sort of just steps aside and lets this happen. So
weak.
yeah, this is like conservative 1980s America CIA like jerk off fantasy of like why we need to build the fucking Maginot Line across the Mexican borders to prevent Cuban saboteurs from infiltrating Cheyenne Mountain or some fucking horse shit like that. Because that's what supposedly happens in this movie is like Cuban saboteurs make their way into like American strategic air base assets and like, cause havoc, which prevents us from responding to the attack or something. It's insane. I don't know.
I mean, if you offer me this or like a modern CIA infused movie like American Sniper, I'm taking this movie. I'm taking Red Dawn all day. At least we got Swayze out of it.
Well, yeah. And so we got Colonel Bella, and he's overseeing everything. He's in charge of this sector of America because, as we learn, America's not fully taken over. There are resistance. There's free America.
It's a huge country,
right?
You can't just do.
Well,
one
there's no
attack.
fucking way they could occupy it. Like, we got to do the fucking Red Dawn remake just because the conceit is originally it was China invades, which like okay maybe. And then because we're like, oh shit, we need that China money.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have the Chinese be the bad guy. We'll make the North Koreans be the bad guy.
It's just absurd.
A country that can't feed its own people is going to
It's so
take
absurd.
over America. Okay.
I mean, makes perfect sense.
And I can say, because I've said they actually filmed a lot of the scenes literally in my hometown, in the downtown area.
Oh, they did.
And I saw, like, I could drive through and see, like, they had Chinese shit up, and they just CGI'd North Korean, like,
That's
flags
what you
and
meant
shit up
when you
on
were
it.
saying that earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't quite gather what you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe Jack will make a comeback and we'll do the Red Dawn remake to compare and contrast. I don't
I'll
know.
be here for it.
Okay.
Ooh.
But here, speaking of nut job like fantasies, here's another one. This within the scene where Colonel Bella goes to one of his underlings. Go down to all the like sporting goods places and gun shops and look for those registered names. This is the reason why we should never have guns registered, people.
That's right.
Because they'll find where you live and they'll take your gun. So
I mean, this is a legitimate. When you dig into the making of this movie and how it was kind of taken over by conservative, like reactionary, I wouldn't say forces, but like, yeah, when you've got like the NRA backing your movie, but like, yeah, you got to make sure we include something where like gun registration paperwork allows us to snuff out the American patriots who are going to resist the tyranny, quote unquote, of the invaders. But you're making a statement that those invaders might also be, the American government, and that's why we can't allow any of this stuff. Although, to be fair, and I think I put it in my notes, like, this is small town Western America, like all the hunting rifles in the closets and over the mantelpieces, like, just growing up in Maine, knowing those guns, have been passed around from person to person, handed down from father to son, uncle to brother, like for decades. So, like grandpa's 30-06, or, like Jed's carrying his grandfather's Colt 1873 Peacemaker. Like, there's no registration paperwork on all this. This is just sort of the fear mongering, but it does set up what's his face is C. Thomas Howell's father for getting killed because oh yeah, we got to find the weapons, and then later on they say, oh well, those weapons were missing, so we killed him for aiding and abetting the guerrillas.
Oh yeah.
This is just a little, I guess today we'd say Second American or Second Amendment dog whistle here to get people ramped up about not allowing the government to collect paperwork on your hunting rifle.
I enjoy that this just comes off as cute considering how ridiculous it is today with dog whistles and 2A and everything. But
anyways, and the fact that these guys, none of them, I mean, they're fighting the Russians with lever action 30-30s and bolt action hunting rifles and pump shotguns. Like, we have to remember that 40 years ago, most people didn't own a semi-automatic rifle that wasn't like a 5-shot Browning or something like that, like real just hunting, sporting kind of rifles. This wasn't like, oh yeah, I've got a closet of AR-15 clones, that allow me to lay down as much firepower as an American rifle squad. It's like, no, most people just owned hunting, sporting type weapons. And that's what you see these kids carrying through the beginning of the movie.
Very accurate.
It was a horrible time to be alive, Griff.
Right.
There was no freedom at all.
It makes it more impressive what these kids were able to do. Yeah, they were barely free.
No, they were
barely free.
Thank God for Ronald Reagan came around. All I got to
God
say.
Damn it. You said it last week, those chilling words. If your government comes to you and asks you, what can I do for you? Shoot them in the face.
How can your government help you?
Oh,
I'm from the government, and how can I help?
I thought it was the one about shooting them in. Okay, I'm sorry.
So, all right. So now we're basically to shut down this country. The city is to shut down because they got the registration. What were we going to do?
Yeah.
So we cut back to the boys. They finally made it to the mountains. They got a little campfire going on.
I thought they were just enjoying some s'mores, going to tell a spooky story or something.
Well, no,
they're teens. This shit rolls right over them.
Yeah, you just snap out of it, kid.
They're still worried about like if Jenny down the block wants to, suck their cow. Okay, I ride that, and I'm happy about that.
So Daryl, the mayor's son, total douchebag. You tell he had the Letterman jacket. You know he's a fucking douchebag.
Oh, yeah.
He's immediately ready to just like, hey, man, let's just go back, give up. Danny's the follower. He's like, yeah, man, let's do that.
Well, Chet's painting the portrait for everybody, and he's telling us, guys, this is an uphill battle. We had a radio. It got blown out by the fucking... And then one of the goobers, was it Aardvark?
It's Robert. He's like, I gotta walk, man.
Yeah, and Jed, of course, is just like, well, good shit, that'll do for us. I like that part.
How are we gonna share these fucking headphones? Yeah. What are you, stupid?
And so Daryl is immediately like, guys, my hands are tied. Let's go give up right now. Yeah, and one of the goons is like, yeah, let's do it. Let's give up.
Yeah, what kind of example did Daryl have? He's got the pussy ass mayor who immediately sells out.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Of course he's going to give up.
What was the other kid who wanted to give up's name?
Danny.
That was Danny.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his. That was
Radiator
his. He
pissing
peed in a
Danny.
radiator, and he immediately wants to give up.
Right.
That's his
you thought
character.
that was his bonding moment with Jed and the Wolverines, was like pissing in the radiator. But no. Jed should have had him shit in the exhaust pipe or something.
So Jed's like, I got to alpha male this shit. I got to rein these motherfuckers in.
Yeah.
So he immediately goes after Daryl.
Daryl threw the first punch.
Okay. They're fighting over a campfire. They're so fucking enraged with each other.
That's true.
But Jed puts him in check because Jed is a grown man at this time, and he's a little boy.
Yeah.
So, but
he was also the quarterback.
Yeah.
And he never lost a game.
Oh, never. I pointed that out.
Yeah.
And so, of course he did, because that's the highlight of his fucking life. He's like, it's all downhill from here.
How do you think he
peaked like a month before this movie is set? Yeah.
So in a way, he's kind of excited for the invasion.
Oh yeah, right. Because this is the only thing he's got going for him. It's this or banging the lady you see later on who's running like the convenience store in town.
She was definitely into him.
Yeah, clearly thirsty for his dick in the worst way possible.
Well, he's Patrick Swayze. Come on, I can't blame her.
Oh my God. He turns into Jeff Bridges in that one movie I saw that I can't remember the name of.
That's a great story, Griff.
It's a perfect Griff story. Come on.
He turns into this character from a movie I can't remember. Remember that? No, we don't.
He becomes a male gigolo in his hometown.
What?
Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
What?
In this movie. He's got a friend who's got one eye.
This is where we need Taffy, because she would know what she's talking about like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Against All Odds?
No.
Take a look at me now?
No, it was called like My Friend Jack or something.
All right.
Oh,
it's a really good movie. It's on Criterion.
I apologize.
So you know
for
it's
this.
good.
So they kiss and make up. They're like, he's like, they bro up. They're like, guys, come on, we're in this together.
Yeah,
they got to kill some commies.
It's a good thing they had some porcupine blood around, because they share a swig. They spit it. They muta it in each other's faces.
Okay. Also, we got to point out: are they sleeping in sleeping bags all through the winter in the mountains? Do they have tents?
Yeah.
No,
Jack,
I don't think we ever see a tent anywhere.
Nothing.
They do build like a little like makeshift lean-to or something.
Yeah, that's it though.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably think maybe there'd be like a hunting cabin up there somewhere they could stay at, but no, they're roughing it big time.
That's somehow more obvious than having campfires constantly and shooting rifles, is to find like some kind of makeshift cabin. But the other question, the big question, I already hit Murray with this question. I need to know Jack's interpretation of this. It got cold in those mountains. One way to keep warm.
Yeah. They're huddling.
Yep. They are huddling. These boys are touching their elbows to dicks to ass. That's
it's balls to butts.
Balls
every
to
night.
butts. Oh yeah.
And then inevitably, someone gets a little motion going.
Yep. That's why they call you Aardvark.
Are these wet dreams you keep talking about, Griff? This is what happens.
This is not how wet dreams happen.
Nocturnal emissions.
Usually wet dreams don't happen because there's a naked man in your bed.
I've never had one. I don't know. So I'm just asking.
Jack, would you like to share an experience of a wet dream on the podcast?
Yeah, we've had this debate because I've always said it's a myth. I've never had one.
Okay, you don't have to go into detail.
Oh my God.
But have you had a wet dream? Wait, are we morning radio?
No, we're not. We don't want to lose Jack. Come
okay,
on.
Let's move on.
So, it's October.
Oh.
We love it when they give us the dates.
Murray, that's the funny thing. Both my wet dreams happen in October.
That's why they call you Mr. October. You know that.
That's a big story.
Boys, they've eaten all the olives. They've drank all the Coke. Now they're living off the land.
I heard it was backwards. They ate all the Coke and drank all the olives.
I don't know. But they're hunting, and they shoot a deer. And we learn that you never shoot twice, because that's how they find you, Griff.
Yeah, right. Let's think about the crew that's here. It's Jed, the Lord of the Flies.
Jed,
here.
his little brother Matt.
Okay. And then they brought little Rob around.
Robert, who's never felt the glory of killing something ever in his life.
Jack, please take us through. Me and Murray have never hunted a day in our lives. We're innocent, sweet boys with soft hands.
I don't know.
I see those hands. They're soft.
They're soft.
Have you been hunting, Jack?
Yeah.
I assume you have. I assume,
of course
yeah.
he has. So that's why he's going to follow up and tell us why you don't shoot twice and how you honor the deer.
Oh, God. it's such horseshit. I mean, you don't need to shoot more than once. Like, you see him run up and he's ready to blow the deer's brains out with his rifle, and then Jed slaps it out of the way, which, by the way, is super unsafe. You're like don't grab at someone else's gun. It's just a recipe for someone getting accidentally shot. It's ugh. But yeah, Jed then pulls out his hunting knife, slits the deer's throat, then starts immediately gutting it, and then he has him drink the deer, which is just gross. And it's also unsanitary because you don't know could that deer be diseased? Could it be carrying a parasite? You don't know. The last thing you want to do in a situation like this is ingest anything that has the slightest chance of making you sick, because it's not like you want to be dealing with Giardia in the midst of World War III. So, and it's just stupid. It's this bullshit hunter mythology that's trying to drag some kind of pseudo Native American spiritualism into it at the same time. How you drink the blood of the deer and then you are infused with the spirit. You know what? Just gut the animal, get out of there as soon as possible, and dress it someplace else and eat it, for crying out loud. Besides, drinking blood like that is not great on your digestive system and probably just going to make you sick and make you throw up, and then you're going to lose all the hydration and calories you've probably just eaten. So you don't really want to make yourself sick in a survival situation like this. It's just dumb. But you know what? This is pure Milius. This is pure boner fuel for a guy like him. He's probably just short stroking it and typing one hand with while he's writing this scene.
He's thinking about the boys huddling up.
All I got to say is Ted Nugent disagrees with you, Jack.
All I got to say...
Ted Nugent probably jacked off 15 times while watching this movie.
Oh, Deadly Tedley was definitely jerking over this. He's like, I wish I was a Wolverine. He would have been Rob. He would have been a kid that went crazy.
So now the boys, they don't have a radio. They're like, we got to find out what's going on in town. So they decide to walk back into town. And at this point, the town's totally been taken over.
Yeah, some time has eclipsed here.
But we
don't know how much.
Yeah, well,
Because they talk about how they don't have meat. And he's like, yeah, they can just shoot hamburgers. And someone's like, do you know where hamburgers come from?
So we see that we didn't go down without fighting. There's some Russian tanks that have been destroyed. So some shit's happened.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did like that.
But they head into town because they think he said they needed some hamburgers and some toothbrushes. So they go to the general store.
They knock at first to survey the scene. They see there's a patrol and everything, but a lot of citizens are just walking around. So like, we could blend in. We could just go walk right in.
Yeah. And we see just what are the first thing the commies do, Griff? They start burning the books.
Of course. I noticed some of those books. They got rid of 1984,
they favorite. Burn-in Soldier of Fortune magazine, all the shit you need to know.
I do like that the local cinema is showing Alexander Nevsky admission free.
Ooh, yeah, they're trying to brainwash us, man.
I don't know that movie.
And they've got posters of Lenin, all up in the windows of these places.
Branding. Even communists know the importance of branding. So they're just get me some Lenin posters up there. It's like instead of the Bob Marley poster, they just put the Lenin poster up. So they go into the store. And of course, as soon as you become a communist city, there's shortages of everything. There's barely anything in this shop. There used to be abundance. You could just take whatever you wanted when capitalism was reigning.
Right, exactly. The freedom of the marketplace. It just allowed billionaires were equally allowing.
The invisible hand of the free market has been severed thanks to the commies.
Right. You can only get one candy bar now.
Right.
Hershey's.
And I thought that's pretty rough.
Yeah, and Hershey's, of course, owns every other candy
and they only
bar.
give you a block. They give you blocks. They sell it by the blocks now. The bars come in blocks.
Yeah. The rectangles.
Yeah.
You're saying they only give you one now?
Yeah.
The Hershey Kiss size.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but they still charge you full price, of course.
So, Jed, the swinging dick in town, he's like, I know this chick. She's into me. We can get her whatever we want. Goes up to her. He's like, hey there, fine lady. Can I get me some toothbrushes? And she's like, because we see that there's all these soldiers monitoring everything. And she's just like, hey, man, you're wanted people. Why would they still be looking for these kids? They haven't done shit. They just ran out. Who cares if 8 kids disappear?
Everybody was on the look for them.
I can only imagine that these are the only people in town that got out. Which seems ridiculous, right? It's a big town. It's a very dispersed population. Of course, plenty of people would be unaccounted for. The idea that these 6 kids are the only people in this entire town that just made it off into the hills is absurd. But I guess the idea is that in the context of the movie, and also they've got the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, Robert's dad has probably been shot. And so there's 6 boys that got away in a pickup truck filled with guns and supplies. So I guess even though they haven't done anything, the communist totalitarian invader mindset is like, well, no, we gotta find these kids and they're, 4 rifles and shotguns, despite the fact we've got fucking BMPs and BTRs and T-72 battle tanks and Hind attack helicopters, and RPGs and all this other shit. Some kid with a bolt-action hunting rifle is a real threat to us. So the KGB involved here.
So Jed's like, hey, have you seen my dad? And they're like, oh man, he was the realest of Americans. So they took him to the re-education camps they're set up at the drive-in. So now he's got to go see his dad.
Guys, I got really good news.
What?
I found the movie I was talking about.
The Jeff Bridges movie. Hey, everybody. It was a callback from 15 minutes ago. What's the Jeff Bridges movie?
It's called Cutter's Way.
Oh, yeah, Cutter's Way. Nobody fucking knows what Cutter's Way is.
It's so good. Do you know what Jeff Bridges... Remember I said that Jed reminded me of Jeff Bridges' character. His character's name in Cutter's Way, Richard Bone.
A little on the nose with that. He's a gigolo called Richard Bone.
A little on the nose.
Dick Bone.
Dick.
I hate you for just bringing that up.
This movie was so good, though. Everyone should watch it.
Bone.
It was so
and
good.
Was it a comedy, at least?
No.
It's a drama with a character who's a gigolo named Dick Bone.
It was a very surreal movie because his friend, Cutter, is a Vietnam veteran who's fucked up.
We're giving you a movie review on top of a movie review. No one's ever done this before. No, we're not talking Cutter's Way. No.
If you're one of these fucks who looks for ratings to tell you what to watch, fuck you. Watch Cutter's Way. It's a good movie. It's rated X, by the way.
Watch now on Prime Video.
There's very little nudity in it.
Watch it right now because Prime's probably going to take it off.
Yeah, that's right. Bezos doesn't want you to see Cutter's Way.
So they go to they sneak into the drive-thru. We got the they live shit going on with Obey and all these symbols showing.
America is a whorehouse.
Right. It's and of course, who better to be the heart and soul of America than Harry Dean Stanton?
It's so perfect.
He is amazing in this scene. He's such the quintessential gun nut asshole where he's just like, you can tell he just abused his children their whole life.
You're right. It is the perfect American dad because yes, I treated you hard. Yeah, you probably beat the shit out of your kids. You probably psychologically scarred them, but it was all done to make them tough and make them resilient and make them true American patriots. I'm like, oh my God. If World War III hadn't happened, these kids would all be, middle-aged guys on Facebook ranting about Obama's birth certificate. So, yeah, there you go. Great job, Dad.
Right. He just feels vindicated. He's like, all that years of abuse have just made you, steel. I made you into iron. You're ready to take on Russia. And he was right. Unfortunately, he's right because, I don't think they would have they'd all be a bunch of Daryls.
Is this a situation where Milius had some kids and he was shitty to them, but he's like, now it's paid off, kids? Because this reeks of that kind of thing.
It's like Conan's dad in a way, where he's forged them like he forges the sword.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Jed he's the answer to the riddle of steel. It's Jed.
I don't know what that meant. But the alliterative description of
He literally, and then Harry Dean Stanton literally says, "Crush your enemy, see them driven before you, hear the lamentations of their women."
oh my god,
That's a great line. I get why Milius reused it because it's a good line.
Yeah.
But it was a little, on the nose.
yeah. Well, that was his call. That was his lick, if you will. If they were doing another Ted Nugent reference, that's his lick.
Okay. So he's just like, and he's just like, they'll never break me, son, but I'm stuck here. Go back to the mountains, fight the good fight. And then he just goes, avenge me!
As if that's not going to attract the attention of one of the guards.
Exactly.
There's this guy screaming about vengeance over there by section 14C. Maybe someone should go check that out.
These guards don't speak English. Come on.
Sure,
The
they don't know
logic.
what avenge me means.
Exactly. The logic is perfect. He probably just be having a fight with somebody over a can of beans for all they know.
And I think he told him to go to Mason because they go to Mason after that. So.
I see. Did you correct it or did I actually get the right name in there?
I think you got it right.
Damn. I'm good.
And so they go to this. The last resistance is Mason. He helps people out.
Yeah. Apparently, he's got a cabin in the woods.
Got a cabin in the woods.
He's pretty much like Red Green. He's got like a lawnmower he uses. It's just made out of fan blades. He's always talking about if you can't be handsome, you can be handy. It's Red Green.
Well, he fills in the kids about what's happened in the month that they've been hiding up in the mountains. This is where we learn that there is a free America, but it ain't here.
Oh, excuse me. We don't speak in full words in this America. Milius did a good job of predicting this future where we just, instead of saying right now, we say RN.
Yeah, I hate
because
that I don't know any of these
I know.
abbreviations.
I have a hard time with them too. Kayla, you son of a bitch. So, yeah, he hits them with FA. And I was like, fuck is FA supposed to be? And I was like,
call it Free America.
Just say Free America. You're talking. When you're talking, you don't use the fucking shorthand. You use the
kids
long
have been in the woods for a month. They don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. They've been gnawing and drinking deer blood.
Right.
They're probably riddled with ticks and shit. Like, think of all the.
That's probably what they do when they're huddling up. They're like picking ticks off their bodies too.
If Milius,
grooming.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. That's what they're doing in the sleeping bags together. If Milius had played, oh god,
Jeff Bridges, Cutter's Way, I think it would have been great.
I was gonna say the Oregon Trail once. He would know that at least one character would already be.
Milius
dead.
would be ready to go cannibal like day one. He would be like, "We're stuck here. I'm eating you."
Did you guys play that game in school?
No.
Oh, yes.
You did. Oh,
I did.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who you would eat first? What's that? What are you talking about?
No. Oregon Trail.
I don't know. I don't know that. Tell me about it. Let's make this episode.
Oregon Trail game?
I no, we didn't. I grew up in the ghetto. We didn't have that shit.
Holy
Come on.
shit.
See, what's funny is growing up in Alaska actually pumped a huge amount. I mean, Alaska's state budget was actually fucking flush because it's all oil and natural resources. They pumped like half their state budget into education. So when I was growing up in there, like in kindergarten, in a tiny little fucking fly speck town in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness, we had fucking computers.
Nice.
All over the place. And I'm not joking. Like, we had multiple computers in the classroom when I was like 7 years old. Like, when this movie's happening, I'm in some tiny little village in the middle of Alaska, and we've got computers, and we're playing fucking Oregon Trail. And it's this
war games
journey simulator where you have to pick how much stuff. You've got so much money, and you load up your wagon with provisions. Or are you bringing extra axles? Are you bringing food? Are you bringing ammunition? And then as the game goes on, it's like, someone is sick. Did you bring medicine? Oh, you didn't. Oh, that person dies. Oh, you've got to cross a river. Do you what's the chance
ford
that
the
you
river?
Can ford the river?
Yeah.
And you wind up drowning. Or do you hunt for food? So there's all these different. It was almost like a really primitive role-playing game where you have to make the decisions to get from one side of the country to the next. And it's They actually call people my age the Oregon Trail generation because it's this little micro generation of like really sort of late stage Gen Xers like myself to like elder millennials like in their late 30s because it's probably this like
mid
10-year span of time in which this game would just get played like in schools or on people's home, older home PCs. There's probably some web emulator out there now.
They're 100%. They still remake it and everything. It's the original. I'm going to go into my modern gaming knowledge. It's the original roguelite because every game is like random. Like it's not like Ninja Gaiden where you know where everything's going to be. It's like you get random occurrences. But yeah, the most famous line to come out of it, so-and-so died of dysentery.
Well, hey, I learned something today. I've never played Oregon Trail.
That's amazing. We're gonna hook you up. You got
because you were like an inner city punk kicking around cans and getting into switch.
Not kicking around cans. We know all about Murray from our Kojak episode. You should go listen to. He was out on the street shooting Jays and not smoking weed. I mean, shooting basketballs. He was the J shot king.
Yeah. So we learned that FAs exist, but they're not living in an FA. They're living 40 miles inside enemy territory.
Which is interesting because if you remember back into the math of the Warriors, which I did end up hearing some news about like the distance between where were they for the
Bronx
meeting?
And Brooklyn.
Bronx to Coney Island.
Yeah.
It's like 20 miles.
Yeah. Well, yeah. New York City is now like 100 miles across. Yeah.
It's just funny because I was listening to NPR the one morning and it came up and I was like, what the fuck? We just talked about this. So
that's how influential we are. NPR's talking about our episode.
NPR is always doing stories after shit we do.
So he's like, all right, kids, I'm going to give you radio and I'm going to give you some booze because fuck, you're adults now.
I mean, you're fighting fucking World War III. Here's a bottle of bourbon.
Here's another beautiful commentary on America. Like, we're like, yes, smoke cigarettes at 18, but drink booze at 21. Yeah. They're like, no, you kids are
now.
Yeah, you kids are fucked for life. So go ahead and just start drinking now because we're not giving
like,
you a parade.
By the way, Robert, you're
dead in 6 months.
It's like, Robert, your dad's dead. You hate to break it to you. And this is where Robert just snaps at this moment. This is his downfall.
Well, he read it like the airplane line. Have you ever seen a kid naked, or have you ever seen a man naked? He was like, have you ever known anybody?
Well, I love this.
Dad?
Or he's like, okay, kids, you're a bunch of horny teenagers. I give you some booze. I'm going to give you 2 of my granddaughters.
Oh my God.
How about that?
Look in
that was an unwise decision. Why would you do that?
The reveal was like a game show, though. Somebody open that cellar, and they're thinking it's gonna be like a mounted truck gun or something, a Chevy Avalanche. No, it's 2 fucking
the granddaughters, played by Jennifer Grey and Leah Thompson. And so, like, they give them some horses too. They got some transpo now, and they go back into the mountains.
Oh wow, Murray using the shorthand.
Yeah, I got inspired by your abbreviation.
The best episode we've ever done.
So, and they're always they get better and better.
Better and better.
So that night they're around the old campfire to listen to some sweet FA radio.
They were going for this right because this radio station sounded bleak as shit. It was David Lynch level weird.
Well, they were giving off codes and shit. Like
it was codes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, John has a long mustache was like a pre-Normandy invasion code.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Throughout this, they drop little homages to like World War II sort of resistant codes and shit like that. Because I mean, half this movie is all just people whacking off to resistance World War II stories. So.
Right. So the next day we get some KGB guys. They're on their vacation. They got their day off, so they're going to see some of the tourist sites around Colorado.
Makes sense.
So they stop at this like a national park sign or something.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was like a national park sign.
And the guy's like, "Hey, what's that say?" One of the guys says he can speak it or read English.
Yeah,
and he starts making up some bullshit story about. All it is like Teddy Roosevelt made this land so we could have, like 40 acres, whatever.
This land is made of spaghetti. He ate it all. Then he shot an Indian in the face.
Right. Well, now that's the story he's telling. He's like, yes, when, capitalistic Roosevelt killed an Indian with a tomahawk. And it's like, none of that shit's what he's saying. It's a very boring story.
Yeah.
and they're just fucking around, taking
just
pictures.
the sign that said where the bathrooms were.
And our heroes are like eavesdropping. They're like on the bottom of this hill.
Yet it was a very steep hill.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of big rock faces for them to like, get foothold onto. Because I guess a couple of them were on patrol and got spooked, and then they called everybody. I couldn't figure out exactly what was going on here, but they're all hiding on this hill face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then someone makes the mistake of leaving an arrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
and the guy's like, "Oh my God, this is like an Indian arrowhead. This is worth a lot of money."
Yes. His English has gotten a lot better, by the way.
And the guy's like, "Hey, fuckface, this is like titanium here, and this is plastic."
Yeah.
No, that's bone polished to a high sheen. It's like,
yeah. Well, we learned that this guy's a bullshitter, so he never admits he's wrong. So yeah, He's like, Indians invented plastic, and and while they're arguing over that, Tony slips on this hill, and they hear him, and then this is where we get our first kind of awkward interaction, like fight.
This is really good, though.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. I really like how it plays out, and it's just really good because I don't even remember how the guns start firing. They were confused about it too because they weren't expecting to find enemies up here. Did they immediately start shooting down and just miss everything?
Well, one of the KGB guys gets shot in the back with an arrow, and he's just like, "Ow, ow, ow!" Like he's like not even selling it at all. He's more irritated than he's in pain,
right?
And the kids are just, they're learning how to kill. It's like watching a baby learn how to walk. You're proud of them. These kids are just like hitting them with rocks. They don't know what they're doing.
Right.
They chase one guy down, shoot him in the back. One guy manages to get back up into his Jeep, and he's going to call it in. And then Jed stops him, right? He just says, like, "God help me," or some shit.
Yep, God help me.
And Jed just shoots him right in the fucking face.
He breathes on him for a long time. Really close, too. Patrick Swayze really adding the element of, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a teen. Yesterday I was getting a hand job on the bleachers. Today I'm shooting a man in the face. Right. Cutter's way.
Right. That's gonna be our 200th episode. You just ruined the surprise, you fucking piece of shit. Yeah. So that night they're coming to grips. They've finally killed.
They've got the symbolic sawing off of the shotgun barrel.
Right.
It's no longer a weapon for hunting; it's a weapon for war.
Everyone traumatized, but Robert has a fucking massive hard on. You can tell he's wearing sweatpants, and he's just like, he's finally found his place in life. He's like, I've never been more alive than when I was killing Russians. So
I'm looking at it right now. He's wearing a fucking headband, Rambo style.
Yeah,
as he's sawing the barrel off the shotgun.
Yep. I'm gonna get my parade.
And you got to remember, this is small town America still. So Charlie Sheen's immediately like, "Hey, bitches, clean the dishes."
Yep.
And
Rob barely has any lines. Wait, not Rob. Matt.
Yeah.
Matt has 0 lines. Charlie Sheen, 0 lines in this movie. Hey, clean these dishes for us. Okay.
And then Erica's like, "Fuck you, motherfucker. I ain't doing that shit."
Oh, no, he said okay to her.
Yeah, she's like, stands up to him.
Yeah, I liked it.
So, now there's a mutual respect. They're not going to be like these, fuck the gender roles. Those are gone. This is World War III.
Yeah, because he's telling her, she's telling him, we're better than you at combat. We saw how you bitches bitched out during fighting. Like, we got in there, we bashed heads with rocks. You guys were like shooting off into nothingness. So, girls, they earned it.
One of the girls shoots the guy who's got the arrow in him. She just grabs his AK and just empties it into his back. So one of them gets her kill on pretty early.
It's beautiful.
Well, we did learn earlier, only shoot once, because if you shoot twice.
Yeah. That's out the door now. It's just like shoot as many bullets as possible.
One tried a Rambo. They can't hear you. The other people were just like, fuck that. We're going into Rambo 5 where you just shoot everybody all the time.
So the next, Bella, he gets the report that these soldiers have been found. They're dead. He's just like, hey, nobody travels alone anymore. You have a squadron with you.
Yeah, they're walking along and they've got like all the tanks ready in the middle of nothing. They have a bunch of soldiers out there. It's a very weird scene. And I was expecting a lot more to come out of this. Nope. Just travel with the squad.
Well, they got to meet up with the mayor because the mayor immediately sells out.
Oh, that's right.
So they go into the mayor's place.
Oh no, they even head back into town because they do this meeting in town.
Yeah.
So they're in the middle of nothing. Then they just jump to in town where, yeah. Okay.
Right. And he's meeting with the mayor's like, hey, do you need a hand job, sir? He's just immediately sold out.
Fucking Daryl. And one of the Twitch casts I watch, they use Daryl as a derogatory term. And I get it now because they're referring to this character. He's a total Daryl.
If I could remember it, I would bring up, it fits with the whole like abbreviations. The movie Daryl about the robotic boy. I forget what Daryl stood for.
Oh, what was that? Oh, we got 10 minutes. We've been doing this whole episode in our segment.
Yeah, like I said, get the catheters out.
Gotta get.
I'm getting my catheter out.
We got to pay for a real streaming service.
Now apparently. I'm going to think about what the fuck Daryl stood for. I saw that movie 12 times in junior high. They made us watch
Daryl.
Have an intermission. That's the education I got. Daryl. So Daryl's dad is just like, hey man, my boy's there, but don't worry, he's a good boy. He's not he loves communism.
Well, yeah, Bella offers up. I hear some boys got some guns and are in the hills and are murdering our own men. And he's like, I hear your boys are one of them. No, Daryl? No, Daryl's a politician, like his old man. He's not a gorilla.
And then Bella just looks at him like, as you would as a guy like this, like with no respect. Like, I could just spit on you right now.
Well, he did spit on him. That's the best part about Ron O'Neal is that he was always known for his spit trajectory. He could spit 45 feet. And he got Daryl's dad right in the eye.
And
Daryl's dad.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
So the next morning, we're going to have a burial for those 3 soldiers that were killed by our kids. And they have Aardvark's dads, and they're making him dig the graves.
He looks strong.
Well, he was strong, yeah.
And got a good coat on,
and he works for half the price, white man. So now
they knew that they came into America.
Even the communists take advantage of Mexicans. Isn't that the worst? That's the worst. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Oh, Bella would have been upset by that. Yeah. That's not a joke for Bella.
Yeah. So they got all the guys they can't break, like Jed's dad. He's never going to be broken. I don't care how many fucking drive-in movies you show him. You show him Cutter's Way, he's going to be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not selling out. So they line up all the dads that are never going to break.
Oh, and they do a gender reveal?
And I think our kids are watching this too, right? They're like seeing what's going on here.
Binocs.
They're
on the hills.
And they just, they start, as every grown American does, he starts singing a patriotic song.
Yeah.
As Griff wrote in the notes, they sing some American song. You didn't even fucking know the song.
I was like, hey, this is familiar, but I don't remember it. And
My Country 'Tis of Thee, yeah. Isn't that what they were singing?
Is that what it's actually called?
I think it's whatever that's called.
Yeah,
well, if it was 2016, it would have been YMCA.
Yeah. And they just gun them down. They see their dad get blasted. So that kind of bummed them out.
Did we talk about that on mic?
What?
Trump said he was a huge music fan.
No,
and they were like,
not.
"What's your favorite song?" And
we're in hour number 5 right now. We don't need it.
Murray,
Trump aside.
We're at 1:30. We're doing really good.
Okay, that night at camp, Rob's crying because I don't know why, because his dad's already dead. He didn't see his dad die, but Rob is crying, and Jed just slaps him across the face and says, "Don't you ever cry again." This is I'm going to give you a lesson my dad taught me. Don't you ever fucking cry again. Crying is for pussies. And that's all.
The amount of toxic masculinity.
Oh, yeah.
In this movie.
And I love the
Never
line.
cry again for the rest of your life. Why?
And I love it because the next line is strip down and get in the man sack.
Exactly. The man sack.
Well, that's what they call the super sleeping bag they have.
Next day, we're at the old Robert's dad's gas station. And we see KGB's rolling up in a tank. And they got to fuel up like everybody else. They get only like 5 miles to a gallon. And Tony, played by Jennifer Grey, she rolls. I just noticed about Jennifer Grey.
Let's go on your sidebar here.
This is important. This is about Jennifer Grey.
Okay.
Her whole big thing was she had a big nose to the point where she got a nose job and it ruined her career because nobody recognized her anymore. Her nose looks fine in this movie.
She
I don't
looks
know.
fine. I mean, this is
Yeah.
typical Hollywood dysmorphia. I mean, I feel bad for her that she was essentially probably bullied. Who knows? Parents, agent, God only knows what. Like, she looks totally fine. It's ridiculous.
That's bullshit. It reminds me of our female actress in the one Rutger Hauer movie, the blind one, who had the really blue, like, piercing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Meg Bryan. Yeah.
Wait, what?
He was out the episode.
Meg
too.
Foster.
Meg Foster.
Yeah, I was like, Meg Ryan. That's not right at all.
I love how you're like, that's not right.
That's
Hey,
the
fucked
You've
up
Got
everything.
Mail lady, right?
Yeah, that's You Got Mail.
Yeah. But yeah, Hollywood's got a thing for people who look slightly off, and they're just like, no, fuck you. I didn't notice her nose at all. I didn't know it was a thing. That's really
Here's a
horrible.
little fun fact for you. Her dad, Joel Grey, played June in Remo Williams.
Oh, the movie we did.
Yeah,
I remember
that
it.
movie. So these kids are getting a little more sophisticated in their plots. So she rolls up on a bicycle with a picnic basket.
Oh yeah, this is a Yogi Bear cartoon.
Yeah, picnic basket.
Yep.
And these guys, they're red-blooded Russian boys, so they see some.
I get it, red blooded.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
They're looking to nail some wool, as Ajax would say. So they're like, "Hey, American baby!" They're like the wild and crazy guys from Saturday Night Live. They're like, "Hey, American lady,
Oh,
come here!"
right.
And she's like, "Yo, leave me alone." And like they grab her picnic basket, and they're like, "Well, fuck it, you're probably lousy in bed anyway, bitch." And then
They're
she
total
just leaves.
incels.
Yeah.
They're total incels. You a whore? We don't do whores.
They take her picnic basket, and they're like, "We're gonna have a little picnic in our tank."
Excuse me. They swipe her picnic basket.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
But little did they know, there's a bomb in that picnic basket,
Oh.
and it blows up the tank.
Oh.
And then they're like, "Hey, we can't let that bitch get away with that." So they run after her. But our boys are set up. They got the little hidey holes.
Yeah, they chase him out of it. Spider holes, Murray.
Spider holes?
Did you hear about the spider that's coming to America?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Creepy. So they pop out of their spider holes. They kill the Russians, and all is good in the world.
Oh God.
So now we get a nice little they even leave. They start tagging. They're like the Warriors. They start their own gang, the Wolverines.
Except they do it more than once, and their tag is a little bit more descriptive. I mean, there's more letters at least.
Yeah. And I gotta say, this is where it gets ridiculous. Like, okay, they kill the guys up at the monument, then they do this, and then suddenly they are this unstoppable guerrilla force that somehow, despite the fact that there's thousands of square miles all around them, they've got no idea where the Russians are going to be at any time. But like, they ambush this reprisal column and kill all the Russians before the Russians kill the people, and like then they just go on this rampage, and it's like, how did they suddenly become expert guerrilla warriors? With what I feel like is that Powers Booth's character should have come in like around now,
yes,
in the movie,
100%,
and he should have been the one who becomes their mentor and teaches them how to do all this shit. Because the idea that these kids are suddenly know how to use RPGs and guerrilla tactics and explosives and throw hand grenades and all this sort of stuff is just absurd. They just get killed. You'd have that one competent Russian guy who'd be like, wait, we're just fighting kids and take them all out.
Jack, I haven't answered your question. One, they drank their blood.
That's true. It's true.
And two, they decided we're going to kick ass now. And that's all you need. You don't need training. They said, hey,
red-blooded American courage.
This is like playing Oregon Trail. I got this. And they just did it. All right. This next thing I found very interesting. We get Bella walking with his superior, and if you're a fan of golan-globus theater, you know the actor that plays his superior. You want to tell him who it is, Grill?
Oh, it's one of my favorite. I saw this man. I was like, oh God, that guy looks like a wrinkled prune or grape. I can't.
I thought it was Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon for a second.
Ming the Merciless.
Yeah.
I'm still going with various fruits that I've devoured in recent days. Stone fruit, non-stone fruit.
I'll eat her peaches. Now, who's this guy?
It's goddamn Mr. Bim himself, Boogaloo Master. I don't remember. What was his name in the movie? I thought it was Mr. Boogaloo.
It was Mr. Boogaloo, I think.
Yeah.
From the Apple.
From the Apple,
classic,
everybody.
Musical from Menachem Golan.
And you know what his character was? He ran a tyrannical fucking oligarchy world where he was at the top. Of course, he was an oligarchy. Yeah. And he but
he entertained the people with beautiful music.
Exactly. And he gave us a new currency, the BIM.
Right. Which is
hey, BIM's on the way.
It's another great episode of Golan-Globus Theater.
And of course,
the Apple.
I do own that soundtrack, and it is wonderful.
So, no, I really found this scene very interesting because it's Bella, and you can tell he's getting disillusioned because he's always been on the kid's side, like the insurgents. Like, you know, he's never been the man. He's been fighting the man his whole life.
Yeah.
And he's conflicted. He's kind of respects these kids. He's like, I really don't know how to fight these kids because I've always been on their side.
Right. He's got a Wolverine in his heart. That's got to be it.
And and he's like, and I found this very interesting. It reminded me a lot of us in the Iraqi War, where he actually mentions the line "winning hearts and minds," because they were trying to like brainwash people instead of killing them and being like slash and burn kind of, you know, which was what William Smith tells him to do later on in the movie. He's just like, we're trying to convert these people to communism, and it's just not working.
Yeah,
and it's because
he needed Hurt Locker to be out at this point because Hurt Locker really delivered that message.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to kind of agree with William Smith's thing. If you can't, this is the issue we have as Americans when we don't invade, we bring freedom to country.
Yeah. Freedom fries.
Freedom fries.
Because as Americans, I'm sure all our non-American listeners will nod their head with this. We always have to be the good guy in every conflict, no matter how selfish the reason is what we're doing. Because there was no reason to invade Iraq. We know that. But so we always have to be the good guys. But the problem is, if you're good, and this is why we always lose these wars, because if you're going to do an occupation, you got to be like, what was William Smith's character's name in this movie? Does anybody know?
It's something unpronounceable. Okay. I mean, it's like, okay, that's a little racist of me to say that.
So we're going to call him Normad because that's his character in Get Even. Great movie.
It's not racist. It's
it is Strynikov.
Okay, Strynikov.
Strelnikov. Strelnikov. Strelnikov.
Nikita, got it.
He's just like, he's old school because I'm sorry, like at the end of the day, nobody's going to no American is going to care more about Iraq than an Iraqi is. Like no fucking Russian is going to care enough about Ukraine as a Ukrainian is. So the Ukrainians are going to fight till, the end. I mean, part of the reason we fucking won the American Revolution is because the British had German fucking mercenaries. And they're like, we don't give a fuck who wins this fucking war.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the Hessians.
I failed pretty much every history class ever, though.
And so I already forgot the guy's name, but he's if you really want to
Strelnikov.
Straganagi.
That's going to be my next pen name. Strelnikov.
I like it. I like it.
He's got it right because it's basically what we did with the Indians. You just crush the fucking people, destroy their culture, and go, you're assimilating into our culture. That's the only way you can win an occupation.
And then he fucking Q2 run for the hills, and it was perfect.
Right.
Because it just makes sense.
And so like this, and this is why like we in Afghanistan we lost. This is why Russia, and I also love the similarities where they're talking about, because at this time Russia was in Afghanistan in an unwinnable war.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And we learned obviously nothing from that.
No,
and they learned nothing from England, who also was in fucking Afghanistan.
Interesting.
And so it was. I thought this was even though it was a brief scene and it doesn't really plot wise do anything, I thought it was really interesting.
It reminds me of my favorite modern movie, Dune, as well. Just gonna throw that out there.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
So I'm basically just saying Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of the women. If you really want to win a war.
Did they overhear Harry Dean Stanton? They're like, we're
Of
going to
course
take
they
his words
did.
to advice. Like that apparently is the same code that
So
Norma lives by.
Bella's even telling his superior, Mr. Boogaloo, he's like, the morale is down. You know, like we can't beat these 8 kids. What the fuck? You know, we can't find them. We can't beat them. So that's basically what's going on with the bad guys. November. Erica happens upon a downed paratrooper.
Yeah,
She thinks it's a Russian,
of course.
but Powers Booth would never play a Russian.
Never. Not my coach.
That man was in Southern Comfort. It makes you biologically incapable of playing a communist.
Exactly. But she has to test him. She's like, what is the capital of Texas?
Oh yeah, of course.
And he goes, Austin, keep it weird. And she's like, no, it's Houston. Because this is the state of our American education system. She really thinks Texas capital is Houston. He's like, you dumb broad, it's Austin. And she's like, what do I know? Come on, you can come with
Wait,
us.
it is Austin?
Yes, it's Austin.
Oh, I thought it was Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah, two cities or the
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I technically I thought it was Dallas, Fort Worth.
Playing too much
Airport.
Oregon Trail. All right.
Yeah. Come on. I always dip down into Texas and Oregon Trail.
So this is where, like Jack pointed out, this is where it would make sense that these kids learn.
I agree 100%. We were talking about their whole winning they get like several wins, and it would have made more sense if they had tutelage during this whole scene. But
Yeah,
anyway.
like if they got lucky like a couple of times.
Yeah.
Got enough like guns and gear so that they had like the nucleus or something, but then you could have even had a scene where Jed says something like, we got lucky a couple times, but it's just going to take one slip up and the Russians are going to get us, and then they kind of like hunker loose for a little bit. And then, Andy comes along and says, oh, like you guys, all right, if you got the will, I can teach you what you need to do. And then you could have had like a cool little like sort of training montage and him kind of like
in nature
mentoring them, Leon the professional style and how to kill from a distance. And I actually think that would have been a much better move, and it would have felt more real. Like, okay, these kids are actually getting some training from someone who, sure, he's a fighter pilot, but I mean, he's a colonel. He has some understanding of escape and evasion and guerrilla tactics. It would have just felt better to me and not so fantastical, because at this point, these kids are, stirring up this whole hornet's nest. Like, you're getting generals involved, and these high school kids marauding the countryside. So it's like, I would have felt better if he had come in a little bit earlier. So.
It doesn't help that they have expendable characters. I mean, we've talked about it. Charlie Sheen's character, Rob, or Matt, barely does anything. Then there's Matt, who just goes crazy. Then there's Daryl, who never mind. But Aardvark, they have characters that are expendable. They could have lost life. They could have been maimed. Anything, and those
could have killed one really early on to just sort of. Actually, that would have been a good way to do it. You kill one of them, and then they sort of shut down, and they're like, okay, like that was just one loss. Like that could have been all of us. Kind of that kind of conversation, and then they just stop doing what they're doing, and they hunker down again. And that's when Andy comes along and reignites their guerrilla warfare.
Well, see, that would make sense. But I think what they were trying to do is, this is just we're badass Americans kind of thing. And like nothing
if you play
was
football and win, you can take on a Russian army. Right.
And it was just kind of like, so it was like, it wasn't real for them at the time because nobody's dying. They're having a good time killing people. And then when they finally do lose somebody, that's when shit gets real for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Andy explains to them what happened, like how did the whole World War III.
They get him back to camp. They're serving him up a nice bowl of deer blood soup.
Right. And he's like, I can feel the spirit flowing through me.
Of course you can. I saw ghost antlers over his head.
And we learned that like Europe, as usual, they're pussies. They're like, we're sitting this one out, But England stood by us. But they're about to fall.
Well, yeah, they don't have enough Heinz beans for their morning breakfast.
This I didn't get. Okay, according to this movie, China is on our side. Why would that be? They're communists. Why would Russia attack China? Because they obviously nuke them because he's like, oh, they're 1 billion Chinese. And he's like, more like 600 million now.
We pay a lot of money to China, probably. Like, we probably give them a lot.
I think it was just like in the Wikipedia page or something mentioned that like around this time, Reagan had been making some trade overtures to China.
There we go.
And I imagine, I am no economics and import-export
just capitalism
specialist
101.
here, but I'm guessing that this is around the time when our trade with China was beginning to open up and that they started manufacturing more goods and we started having agreements. So their communism began to defrost a little bit in the 80s. I don't know. I'm guessing that's the case. Still, I don't know what the state of Chinese-Russian relations was. Well, I think I also saw that this actually doesn't take place in 84. It's supposed to take place in like 89. So there must have been some forward speculation as to the state of, international affairs at the time. Maybe there was like a Russo-Chinese split ideologically, and yeah.
Yeah,
who cares? Ultimately, they had to have one. Basically, I think it's all there just so someone can say, like, oh yeah, except for 600 screaming Chinamen. Well, I thought there was 1 billion Chinamen. Not anymore. Like it's only exists because some Powers Booth had to be able to drop that line in his Texas accent.
And we learned that there was a little bit of nuclear warfare going on, but they shut that down. Was it like they were doing like surgical strikes with nuclear bombs on our silos or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they said that they took out some of our silos and then they took out a couple of our cities. But then once the war basically just became this stalemate on American soil, neither side wanted to start dropping nukes because, like, why just irradiate the territory you're trying to overtake?
Right.
So it just becomes this conventional stalemate war. Because, ultimately, I think the idea is that Russia is after our breadbasket. They're after our farmland and our resources. Well, if you glass it all with atomic warfare, what the fuck good is it? So
right. So now the kids, they kind of know what they're fighting for now. They're fighting for freedom. Next morning,
more freedom times 2 or something.
That's all we fight for.
Freedom, like fake freedom here.
10 minutes ago, as I talked about, all Americans fight for is freedom, and that's it. All right,
Levi's jeans at affordable prices.
So the next day, they go out with Andy on a little skirmish. They take out like a convoy, and Andy's pretty impressed. He's like, "You kids got some spunk. I like you. Did you play football in high school?"
Well, he notices his throwing arm.
And he's just like, only a high school player could be that great at warfare.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I threw the pigskin.
Probably receive hand job like a champion.
But, and they're all like, because they're kids. They're just pleased as punch an adult is like respecting them. But he shuts it down. He's like, because they're eating more of that fucking deer blood soup. He's like, there's people in Denver that would kill for some fucking deer blood soup.
Yeah.
And then he goes over. Robert is like checking. He's doing the hash marks on the stock of his gun, like how the people he's killed. He's got like fucking 23 up. And Andy's like, son, you better chill out, son. He's like, that fire will burn you up. And he's like, the only thing that keeps me warm. This like Rob is full. He's dressing like fucking he's on the set of the Rock the Casbah video. He's got the fucking beret and the mask on now. He is full blown lost his fucking mind.
Oh, I thought he was going full deer hunter. He had like the eye blocker on.
That's how he puts himself to sleep. He just plays Russian roulette for a couple of hits and then he just falls straight to sleep.
Yeah, just a panic. Yeah.
So Rob's losing his shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank God there's no more schools because he would have done a school shooting. That's all I'm saying about Rob.
Next day up.
Next day.
Good thing they're not going to class. They're going to another armored convoy.
Next month. It's December.
Oh, it's December? Wait.
No, this is where we finally get Andy. He's like, you kids are great and all, but do you know anything about tactics at all? So he's actually, they're like planning something. It's like, go on this flank. Oh, sir, what's a flank? That's a stake, isn't it? And he's just like, oh, he just hits his forehead. These kids today, they're with their abbreviations and their Jeff Bridges movies.
I'm also going to point out here that this is where Erica and Andy have this weird, dysfunctional, problematically age unequal kind of romance budding, which I think the idea behind Erica's character is that she was sexually assaulted by the Russians. You know, he makes the grandfather makes some comment about them having their way with him. So I think the movie very clumsily tried to paint her as kind of not right in the head, either because of everything that's gone on or that specifically or whatever. But that's sort of like one of the reasons why she reacts so strongly to Matt, kind of the dishes and all that early on. But yeah, she's sort of like bringing Andy flowers, and they kind of got this weird little romantic but not sexual kind of grab ass going on here. And I guess in the original script, that blossoms more into like an actual sexual thing, but the test audiences were like, no, that's just too creepy for a movie that's not about this.
Good on
I'm
you,
glad
80s
they
crowd.
did. Like,
all I know is, if you know anything about me, I love me a girl with some big crazy 80s hair. And
Great
Leah Thompson's hair was on point. So I understand what Andy was. I'm not saying he can do it. I'm not saying he can know it.
Yes.
I understand. And I read it more as she had a schoolgirl crush on him, and he was kind of humoring her. That was kind of my vibe off this.
Which is, I think, how they decided to go with it, where it's she's got a crush on him because he's different, he's older, and you're right, humors it. And I'm glad that's as far as it went, because if it went any further, that would just it would make things awkward and just kind of derail the plot.
It still left a bad taste in my mouth because of the one line when he's asking later. It's a little later on when she's asking about his wife. He's like, "You really want to know about her? She's 80, old like me." And then he's like, "Yeah, she's what was it? It was an F word, frenzy, feisty, just like you." And then he licked his lips, and then he got a little napkin and threw it over her handkerchief and threw it over his neck. And that was the only part I was like, oh wow, they did a good job of like cutting her off at the knees of her schoolgirl crush, but then he throws in that feisty line. And I was like, weird.
A little hard to get. So now they got a real plan. Now they're gonna attack some jets. So that night they head to wherever these jets are. I thought it was actually the drive-in because there's like prisoners there too. I don't know what.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was so confused by this scene because there's planes and there's the fenced in thing we saw with the drive-in.
I love it. So we do this whole scene where he's like setting up this plan, and then when we see it, it's just they drive through a fucking fence and start opening fire. There's no plan happening here.
It's like something at the end of an episode of the A-Team where you just like,
oh my god,
show up with like a snow plow or something and blow everything up.
100%. The only thing that was missing from this movie, I definitely thought A-Team 9 times. The only thing that was missing is them assembling the van to drive through the fence.
Welding shit.
Exactly.
And they drop a couple grenades into a jet, blow the jet up. They rescue some people, and a mission accomplished. They did it.
Again, the rebels just winning out. This is pretty much the best version of Star Wars I've ever seen.
Next day, Bella is just like freaking out. He's like, what are we going to fucking do?
They got another line of fucking innocent townsfolk. This town had a lot of people in it.
Yeah, well,
like way bigger than I thought it would have in these times. But they've got enough for multiple firing squads. So they're lining them up to blow them all down.
right. He's taking out his frustrations on the quelled populace instead of the real target, which are these kids. And so after you've just killed a bunch of people, you need to chill out a little.
They're kids.
Little flag football.
They're just kids.
So they're playing a little football, and this is where we get the scene you mentioned earlier, where Erica's like asking about Andy's wife and shit, and like it's just having fun.
It's one of these things. They do a good job. You know, we on this podcast complain often about movies not being 90 minutes. This movie is an hour and 50. The remake of this movie is an hour and 30. And yet this is the better movie. They've really set the tone so well in this movie. So we get to see them being kids again. And then we cut to, and they're just at this cabin.
They're
again.
at Mason's place again. Christmas time. And he's updating them on what's going on. There's some resistance now. They're coming. The Green Berets they've heard about you guys, the Wolverines.
Of course.
And they're going to come help you. You're going to get some special forces.
They've seen your tags.
And your tags. And, you know, they're just like Andy's like, fuck yeah, maybe this fucking war will end now. You know, we'll get some fucking help. January. Scoping out another target. And this is where they see some American fighter planes flying in, dropping bombs.
There is some doubt, though.
Yeah, they don't know it.
And there is a nice moment where Andy's like, yeah, them ours. Because he saw the We the People, you know.
Right, they had the little banner floating in the back.
Yeah.
A little overkill. But,
yeah,
it was. You know, you got to.
We won't name names here.
Right. And Andy's like, well, kids, you're done. We're back in charge, man. We don't need you anymore. You can retire. You can go back to getting hand jobs under bleachers.
That's all you wanted, right?
Yeah. Time to be a kid again. And so this is where things start getting grim for our boys.
It was looking like everything. This is a perfect crescendo here because it's looking like everything's going their way. And then suddenly it's just like, oh, shit, they've got that secret helicopter technology we were talking about in that face-off, where it's just like suddenly a helicopter is right in front of them. They disabled silencer mode. The tanks do that in this movie.
I've seen Blue Thunder. You can have silencer mode on
the tanks do it in this movie. Because
right.
Now there's just tanks like surrounding
somehow our heroes got winter gear because they got like the white outfits. I guess they've stolen off bodies of Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a tank rolls up. They're like hiding behind a hill, and a tank just rolls up. The tank doesn't see them, and they don't hear the tank.
Yeah, hey, what's up? Tank here. It's here to murder you.
And it starts firing at the jets and shit. So, like, well, we can't let that happen. So this is where we lose. Of course, we lose the brown kid. The first kid we lose is the brown kid.
Wait. Jack, what is the appropriate approach for a tank? Because like in my first-person shooter experience, you prime one grenade and throw it at that tank, and you probably die jumping onto the grenade. So what's the proper technique for taking over a tank?
I mean, I think what really kind of happens is that, see, I'm watching it right now. I think the problem is it's just Aardvark freaks out because the tank is firing right over them, but it's shooting at another tank, like an American tank, that's trying to fire back. So they realize that they're kind of pinned here and they can't go anywhere because if they do, they're going to get spotted and they're probably going to get killed. And there's like other Russian tanks. So they're just stuck. And I think that's when Andy is like, we kind of need to do something. Like, we got to take this tank out. And
well, is it like Aardvark freaking out because they're right under the tank? So wouldn't that be deafening hearing those shots?
Oh, I'm sure. Like, that's the thing. Is that you just, I can understand his freaking out because that gun is going off like 6 feet over their head. It would just be an astonishing amount of noise. And then, you know, the other tank is firing back. So shells are landing all around them. Like, it's no doubt. There's no reason why. And then Andy just like runs up, starts emptying his pistol into like the driver's hatch. He's the one who decides to go for it. And then poor Aardvark tries to emulate him, and you know he gets a machine gun. I think it's Oh yeah, it's the other tank gets him. I'm watching it right now. Other tank kills poor Aardvark, and he gets draped over the barrel of that tank. It's
Poor Aardvark.
Sad display of his death there. And
I'll never get to do that plot point we remember from him earlier in the movie. All that development we worked on so hard.
The development of just naming him Aardvark and making him the brown kid.
And I don't think he's ever referred to as Aardvark except this scene. I don't think he's even named in this movie.
I didn't know there was a kid in their group called Aardvark until this moment. Like, I think this is the first time Aardvark shows up in my notes.
So not only does Aardvark get killed, Andy gets killed too.
Yeah. The two best. Aardvark.
I can't even remember. You're watching the movie right now. Does the tank get taken out? I don't even remember what happens after.
So what happens is that he's trying to take out the people in the tank. And then someone in the tank rolls a grenade up over the turret to kill, and that wounds Andy mortally. And then Andy drops a smoke grenade onto either into the tank or onto the tank, like a marking grenade.
Yep.
Okay.
So the grenade's designed to give colored smoke so it can draw attention to artillery or whatever the fuck. And he's like, shoot straight for once, you pukes or something. And then he dies with himself draped over the tank. And Erica freaks out. And then you see the American tanks on the other side of the valley blasting the tank as he's draped over it. I mean, it's a pretty sad scene, but it's depressing that Powers Booth is only in this for like a pretty short amount of time. Like, I haven't measured it, but I'd be shocked if it was more than 20 minutes. And I just feel like he was not used as well. And they probably cut a whole bunch of material from his character.
Yeah. He should have gone full Craig T. Nelson and coached. But he didn't get his chance.
Well, you know who agrees with you?
You need to hold that thought for one more second. Got a quick question for Jack.
Okay.
Again, we're going back to Rambo territory here.
All right.
Yeah.
And we were talking about artillery. And right now what we need to talk about is mortars on a person running across a rice paddy. Is that an effective tool to use to stop one human being running across a rice paddy?
I can't imagine it is, because they're going to go off in the water.
Yeah, because
they're either going to detonate on the water. Well, again, I don't know what happens when you drop a mortar round onto like water. It probably all depends on how you set that fuse, whether it's like a light delay or a no delay or whatever. But if it's going off in the water, like, how's that going to really hurt anybody? Because it's going to stop
make them look
all that
cooler.
Fucking shrapnel and everything.
Yeah.
Look, what it comes down to is Rambo just can't be killed by conventional means.
Okay. I mean, this makes sense. Guy shot him square in the face, and he didn't even accept it. He just said no.
Catches the bullet in his teeth and then chews it up and spits it back out as other bullets.
That's definitely what I saw in Hot Shots
I
Part
saw
2.
Popeye do that too.
I think that's a hot shot.
Yeah. Please, Murray, get us back on track.
Erica, heartbroken. She'll never love again.
No,
of course.
Back in town now, they called in the fucking real shit. Now Bella's not getting it done, so who do you call? You call William fucking Smith in.
Ooh,
He's such a badass. They have a parade for him as he walks in.
We need to give William Smith a little bit of acknowledgement. We've been calling him Normad at points during the movie. He harkens back to one of the Golan-globus favorites, Get Heaven. Road to Revenge.
Right.
He was the villain in that movie who, just like in American Meritocracy, he went from being a corrupt cop to a corrupt judge.
To being a satanic cult leader.
Well,
the natural progression, by the way.
He dabbled in that.
I wouldn't say dabbled. I think that was his true love.
No, you're
satanic.
Right. But still, it's like he couldn't pay the bills with that. So that was his social media side hustle, was being a satanic
also a drug
leader.
dealer.
Also a drug Oh my God.
Telling you got to watch Get Even.
He's the original,
watch it.
or he's the second coming of Superfly.
Right.
He had his hands on a lot of pies.
So he's in town and he's giving he's got all the charts. He's got pictures of Wolverines. He's got everything. He literally did. He had pictures of Wolverines.
Yeah, it was good.
And I got to give it up to William Smith. Does he speak fucking Russian? Because he did this long ass scene in Russian.
I mean, according to IMDb, he actually speaks Russian.
I believe it.
Like, he needed no coaching.
Oh shit!
Which kind of blows my fucking mind.
That absolutely blows my mind.
And you're talking about Powers Booth being wasted. He was wasted in this movie. He needed more screen time.
Yeah,
because he lays it out. He's just like total annihilation. First of all, he's like, "Why are we killing citizens that we've got cowed that are doing whatever we say? That's going to end. No more firing squads.
Right?
We're killing. We're going to become the fox. We're going to find these fucking kids and we're going to fucking kill them. To beat your enemy, you become your enemy.
I love it. Normad
standing up.
Murray, we have to point out one thing because we're talking Normad. He's squinting very hard. He's not wearing any shades in this movie.
Right. No, he is wearing shades at the parade.
At the parade, but when he's indoors, he's not wearing shades.
You got to see his eyes when he talks.
Yeah, even in Gets Heaven when he was indoors, Normad wears shades.
So now we get a scene where we see a bunch of Russian soldiers in winter gear, and they got like this. I thought it was like a fucking Geiger counter when they fucking had it at first.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's the thing from fucking Alien where they can detect the aliens, and they're looking for some. We were like, okay, they're looking for somebody. What's going on here? But of course they fall right into another trap by the Wolverines.
They're always 2 steps ahead. It's amazing. These kids are fantastic. Again, pulled themselves up at their own bootstraps.
They're Bugs Bunny. One's dressed in drag to lure the guys in.
All the people in my generation complaining about there's no more houses to buy. It's all just for rent. No, you just Wolverine those Wolverine boots, which has been an issue because we were poisoning people.
You just got to squat. You just got to become squatters. That's it. Rights.
Well, no, that's what I'm doing.
Abandoned house, get your mail delivered there, and it's yours now.
You're explaining my life currently. I am a squatter.
Are you squatting
with my own mail address and everything? Yeah, I'm a squatter technically.
Excellent. I approve of this.
Okay, excellent.
Seize the means of production, Griff.
That's right. I give out free plants to the neighborhood. I'm good here.
So they wipe out another Russian troop, except one guy to take prisoner.
Well, of course you take one because they got stormed and it was like right next to their camp. So I'd take this guy prisoner.
And they're looking at that device, like, what the fuck is this, man? Is this radiation? What is this? And they're talking. The guy's just giving his name, rank, and serial number. He ain't. He's like, "Fuck you, Amerikanskis."
Because we know we've been hearing all of our very conservative Americans tell us how they're trying to print us not just with birth certificates, or not social security numbers, but serial numbers too, and they're going to tattoo us all. So yeah, the Russians,
the beast, my friend.
The Russians actually have serial numbers. That's what Murray was alluding to there.
And so he's not talking. They're like, wait. This is beeping. What? And they go, where's it going to? And then it goes up to Daryl. And they're like, what's going on? And then we realize he immediately bitches out. He's like, look, I went into town. I wanted one of those Hershey squares and I got caught.
God, he would sell out for a Hershey square.
And they said they were just going to put a tracker up my ass and they were going to capture us. They weren't going to do anything bad to us. I'm actually helping you guys.
They wanted to make sure they knew the areas not to bomb. That's all they were trying to do.
And so they take them out. They're like, we're going to have to execute you, man. This is war.
Yeah.
So the Russians like not helping Daryl at all. Cause he's like, hey, comrade, stand with me. He's like, I ain't your comrade. And then Jed's like, just fucking unloads on the Russian.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jed kills the Russian.
And then he's just like, I can't, Daryl, those beautiful blue eyes, I can't kill this kid.
Right.
And like, Robert's like, well, I can. And just walks up and just fucking, he's like, Robert, don't kill me, man.
They built this up beautifully. This hit hard. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Robert.
It's a brutal scene. I mean, that's when you begin to realize, holy shit, like they're falling apart. Like that's how I kind of feel. It's like Andy dies, Aardvark's dead, then they've got to kill fucking Daryl on their own for being a traitor. So the group is really fraying at the edges here. Like I kind of get the feeling that they realize that they don't have a lot of time left.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Psychologically, materialistically, body count wise, they're on the way out, and I think that's when they kind of plan their last hurrah. Because
right,
of this.
they're children playing a man's game. And
right.
so,
Well, this is very kind of mature for Milius, because it's kind of like the real the shit that it takes on your body and your mind, like doing warfare. It's not all fun like it was in the beginning of the movie,
right?
It's like the wear and tear.
And so I'm sure Milius had this moment many of times where Jed now has to take a photo of him and his brother off to the distant like hills, and he's got to be by himself in the wheat field, American iconograph, just those hills. He's just staring at that photo in a nice vinyl chair, just singeing his skin on it.
Well, the whole thing is because Jed's the one that has to be strong for everybody.
Yes,
because he's the leader.
Yes,
and now he's finally breaking down.
He gets his
he's the guy who told don't ever cry again.
Right,
and he's crying.
He's crying.
He gets his moment in the sun.
Right,
like there's been no sun recently, and now there's suddenly sun, and he's crying in it. So this is beautiful. I gotta say, Milius, for being a weird right-wing weirdo, he's killing it with symbolism.
So now, like Jack said, they're running out of everything. They have no food,
no olives,
Rice
Krispie treats.
Nope,
it's long gone.
Excuse me.
Probably running low on ammunition.
Oh Jesus Christ!
So they're desperate, and they're watching this convoy out on the road. They're hiding in the mountains. They see this convoy, and they're ready. At first, they're going to just fucking rocket launch this thing.
Yeah.
And as it goes by, this is very suspicious. I guess how desperate these kids are getting, because it's the most suspicious looking.
100%.
Literally, a box falls off at the end of the back of a truck.
Yeah.
And they let the convoy go.
But we got to remember, they've been dealing with months of KGB carelessness. That's how they've been getting all their wins. And they realize that. So they just think this is just one more KGB being idiots.
So they run out and they see there's more Rice Krispies. We got some Hot Pockets.
That's what should have tipped them off. The fact that it was olives, Rice Krispie treats, everything.
Do they know?
Yeah, exactly. Everything they talk about. And deer blood.
And a few peaches.
Of course, peaches, Murray.
They could eat a peach all day.
All day.
Jesus Christ.
Somebody listened to our face-off episode. So yeah, and like Jennifer Gray's, she's just in that fucking peach. She's like, come on, guys. And so they're all celebrating. They're finally eating some food. They're finally getting rid of that scurvy. They're getting their vitamin C with the fruits. And they're just enjoying themselves. They're sitting on some rocks, getting a little sunshine.
Yeah.
A little playfulness from Tony. She drips some of that peach juice on Jed's head.
Very playful. This is good. Yep. Teens being teens.
Right. Until all of a sudden, like I said, was this an Apache? What kind of helicopter is this, Jack? Is it an Apache? What is this?
So I went digging, and it's like a big ass,
helicopters
like
fly,
transportation helicopter that they modify to look like a Russian Hind.
Oh,
attack
that makes
helicopter.
sense.
So it's, I think I saw something like they used the same sort of build for like the Rambo 2 and 3 to make the Russian.
We were very confused about that one too. Murray was like, "This is a Frankenstein helicopter." That's my Murray voice.
I mean, it looks good. It looks
that's
like a Russian attack helicopter. So I have to give total props to the people who did like the prop work in this. Like the tanks look good, the armored vehicles all look good. Like it doesn't look like your usual janky kind of like early 80s attempts at making, Russian hardware. Like everything looks very high quality. Like I'm watching that helicopter do its attack run right now. The thing looks fucking terrifying. This is just dripping with rockets and machine guns and cannons and missiles. And you're just like, holy fucking shit. And then a couple more of them come over the ridge lines, and you're just watching this and you're like, oh, they're fucked. They're just going to get annihilated.
And they got the scale so right, too. Like, they didn't bombard us with, like, huge, like, 5,000 tanks and everything. They just had, like, a small force, so you had some tanks here, some tanks there, and so it's like when you get these little, like 2, 3, like they started with 1 helicopter and then they moved it up to 2 for this scene, and it's perfect because it's like we barely got away from 1, now there's 2. Fuck, we're fucked. So this is so good. The scale is so good. Whereas modern movies, because of CGI, we're just like, no, 4,000 now.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Just because you can fill the screen with a bunch of shit doesn't mean you should fill the screen.
You should still.
I guess like the new Star Wars movies. Where am I supposed to be looking at?
Boy.
Because there's so much shit happening on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need 1,000 Star Destroyers to make something epic. Like this is 4 people on horseback and a couple of attack helicopters, and it's still terrifying and visceral and engaging, and you're just like, holy shit, how are they going to survive this?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot if you do it right to make it good.
We got to remember that we remember a stupid fucking scene from the bar scene in Star Wars where who shot first. It's building up to little scenes like that with tension that last in people's brains, not there's so many ships coming overhead, just flood their brains with bullshit. That's Steve Bannon's territory. We don't flood it with bullshit. We tell good stories. That's right.
So these choppers, they apparently have silent mode too, because they sneak up on our heroes and they blast Tony. I gotta imagine, you would know better than me, Jack. Like the kind of like guns that are on a helicopter, you would just be a stain if you got shot by these.
Yeah, I have to admit, when she gets hit, like
her body
would have. Well, I mean, you've seen Rambo 4 when he opens up with that 50 caliber, and
I love it.
Just explode.
Right.
Okay. I mean, as grotesque and awful and violent as that is to watch, like if you actually step back for a moment and you're like, this is human beings being violently ripped to pieces by gunfire.
I loved it. That was one of the best action movies of the past 20 years.
And I remember watching actual combat veterans talk about that, and they're like, yes, that's actually what that firepower does to human beings. Huh. So she gets hit, and it's just this sort of like, and there's like a little puff of
she doesn't even die
out of her jacket, and I'm like, it would have ripped her body in half. She just would have been blown apart all over her friends, and it would have been awful.
AEW
but you know what? Like you have to give her what is one of the most badass, death scenes ever, where she's just like, just give me the fucking grenade. Just like give me one last thing to kill one last fucking Russian
right.
piece of shit.
Was it Jed?
Die, why not?
Yeah.
Was it Jed? Okay. Because she's begging Jed, fucking end it now. And he's like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I may have been
he wimps out. He won't shoot her.
I can't stop thinking about you giving me a hand job out of the bleachers. Give me a fucking grenade then. God, you're a loser.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I read into the scene.
So you could kill someone. You could kill me easily, but I'm just saying, like, if your brother had been shot and he's like, gotta kill me, you'd just be no problem. You wouldn't have any issue. I mean,
wait, what was the question here?
Could you kill your brother like that? If your brother was like riddled with bullets, no problem. No problem.
Murdy, you don't understand this because you only have sisters and they're horrible to you. Me and my brother are very close.
Only one is horrible to me.
We golf. Well, the other one doesn't talk to you. That's even another form of horribleness. Me and my brother talk, and so we read through each other's eyes. There's a lot of
you read your brother's eyes. I know. I saw the kickboxer movie.
Exactly.
I know that song.
So we would like even in that moment of ununderstanding, there would be some kind of understanding, and our understandableness would persevere. And I'd be like, "You got it, bro," and I'd either pop a cap in his ass. And I would refer to Gunsmoke, a favorite NES game of ours, or, something else that would connect us in the afterlife.
Okay.
So
you deprive him of a badass grenade now. This is what Jed gives her.
Well, yeah.
She's like, give me that fucking grenade. And he's like, he had to pull the pin forward. That's how weak she is. He didn't even pull the pin.
Yeah.
And she's holding it. She's like, I'm going to kill one of these fucking Ruski motherfuckers. He's like,
and those Ruski motherfuckers are coming right down the mountain.
Right.
And, of course, all of our crew has run and hid at this point, just behind a hill to see this.
We just left out a big thing.
What big thing?
Rob's death scene.
Oh, Rob died?
where Rob is like, "Whoa, the fucking race!" He's just he's just like firing at him.
He's gone completely unhinged because he's just like emptying his AK from the hip at this helicopter, and screaming at the top of his lungs. So it's like, unfortunately for him.
Very appropriate, though. I loved it for him. This was a very fictitious kill for me. I loved it.
You loved it so much you didn't even remember it until we just brought it up. You're like, oh yeah, Rob dies?
Murray, we get caught up in so many different sidetracks. It's like, trying to go back is hard.
So the choppers land. Fucking William Smith gets out. That's how you do it, motherfuckers. That's how you take care of some insurgents.
Oh, that's too many beers.
And then they're like, hey, I think I found a woman here. And then boom, you just hear an explosion. And William Smith is like, these fucking soldiers.
Oh man.
So, he's a little respect for these guys. All right. The final battle. Like Jack said, this is like suicide mission. Matt and fucking Jed they're ready to die. They can't go on anymore.
Yeah, he carves his brothers and his name on the rock where they carved the names of all the other people.
Oh, I didn't even pick that up. I knew he put Tony's name.
They're not coming back. He's just like, nope, we're gonna fucking die. We're gonna kill as many of these stinking commie bastards as we can. We're doing
it makes sense with the speech they're about to give and everything, or at least the battle plans and all that.
Yeah, because Maddie's like, all right, we're doing this shit. Erica, Danny, bail. We're doing this for you. Somebody's got to get away and tell the story and inspire people.
Wait, Danny? Radiator pissed Danny?
Yeah. Well, that's how useless he is. He's the only time Danny's useful is when you need pee for some reason.
So the next time someone tell you meritocracy wins, remember Danny pissing in the radiator. Because no, it's not about them. It's just about the people who the real winners stand up for.
Once again, the mission is just attack shit. There's no plan. It's just attack. And they learn nothing from the colonel.
This is the blurriest shit yet because we're used to them targeting small targets where you can clearly see everything in one shot. This is the biggest shot yet, and they don't have Andy there because that is the next biggest target that they hit up.
So while they're planning this, we go inside the room to Bella, and he's had it. Much like Jed, it's like he's like the mirror of Jed, where he's had it too.
Yeah.
But he's just going to resign. He's going to turn in his gun and badge.
Yeah, first thing I thought he was writing a letter to Golan-globus Theater because he's whispering into an envelope.
No.
And I was like, there's no other recipient of that.
He's writing to his second love, his wife.
Yeah,
and he's
writing.
And he's like, Mia Moore, I'm out of here. It's too fucking cold here. I wish I was with you.
When I left the streets of New York and the pimping lifestyle, I thought I was done. And then I ended up being like some kind of revolutionary character in Cuba. But I'm done with that too. I just want an easy life. I want to play croquet.
He's ready to turn it into Comrade Boogaloo and go, here's my gun and badge. I'm done.
2 weeks.
And then he hears the fucking gunfire. And he hears the explosion. Then like Maddie and Jed, they're just throwing grenades all everywhere, blowing shit up. It's working, They fucking kill fucking Mr. Boogaloo. He's coming out of a porta-john, and then they just shoot him.
Oh, out of a porta-john?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Worst way to die.
Like Tyrion and Lannister. Wait, which Lannister?
The dad. I don't remember.
Dad Lannister. Daddy Lan.
And so fucking William Smith, what's going on out here? I got to kick some ass or what?
What I kind of love is that they cause so much confusion that you hear them running around and then you're hearing all this gunfire in the background. So what's clearly happening is everyone's so spooked that they're all just shooting each other. And really the brothers should have just been like, let's just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And the Russians kill each other for the next hour because they're all running around in Russian camo, carrying Russian weapons. Like, yeah, if they had been smart about it, they just let the Ruskies kill each other for a while and, make your escape. But no.
Yeah,
that would decided this is it for them.
That is dead on.
You ruin the poetic writing on the stone. He's got it. Once you commit to I'm dead, you got to commit.
You got to commit, yeah.
So William Smith comes out. I'm gonna take care of this shit, and I think he like shoots Maddie, right? Because there's a train going too. The train is not going to stop no matter what. The train just keeps moving. So we got the old scene where we got our good guys on one side of the train, and we got William Smith on the other, and he's waiting for it to pass by. And then it finally passes by, and they like the move we always see in thrillers where a bus drives by, and then the person disappears behind it.
Oh yeah, ninjas. And
they do that,
and Rutger Hauer's.
So
Jean-Claude Van Damme's.
He stalks over there, and then there's like a standoff between him and Jed, and they just shoot each other.
Yeah, it is so very stupid because Jed gets the drop on him. He does,
yeah,
and then he like cocks his gun and says some stupid line like "Game over, you lose."
He should have said "Das Vidania, motherfucker." That would have been badass.
Should have bet on
gave
black.
him time to turn around and kill you.
Oh, don't bet on red is what he should have said.
Okay, but still, black and red, they're two sides of the same coin in gambling. So, okay,
I know, but this is communism we're talking about.
Yeah.
It works on two levels.
And it's American, so you got to say, don't bet on red. So they remember that red and
he could have said better dead than red. That's what he should have said when he died.
420 is the weed number. 69 is the sex number. Red is the communism color. So you're right. You spoon feed it because Americans are idiots.
So we get like a Tarantino ending where they shoot each other, but somehow because Jed's American, he can still get off after that.
His own bootstraps. You saw those knots. I saw those knots. They were perfect.
He grabs Maddie, hauls him away. As he's going by, Bella walks out like, what the fuck's going on here?
With a gun.
And then he's just like, he sees that they're already dead. So he's like, why put salt in the wound?
He sees the brother's eyes. My brother's eyes. Yeah. He's like, I can't shoot those brother's eyes.
Well, no, I mean, there's like a mutual respect. He's like,
he is, yeah.
Because like I used to be on their side.
Yeah.
I get it. And I know they're going to die because they're fucking riddled with bullets. Right. So why give them their moment, you know? And they get their moment. They stop on a park bench. Maddie's already dead, I think, at this time.
Yeah, they're pretty much.
He's just dragging around his like flopping corpse. Yeah, he's gone.
This is kind of like out of this movie. This is an impressive fucking scene. It's really impressive.
Well, it's back to the swings, like the dad was talking about. Boys, when you were so little, I'd push you on the swings. I remember, Papa. I remember all of it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, we just need more Jack trying to do like a Papa voice there. I need more of that in my life.
Avenge me!
So we're going to do some kind of sitcom where there's a Papa figure and Jack will just do all those lines.
Jump in.
I love it.
Yeah.
But the sacrifice was not for vain, guys, because Erica and Danny do make it to FA. That's free America for you people not paying attention. They apparently walked the 48 miles. I don't know why they needed to do this at all. The attack, I don't know, but they get away, and then we get a little thing at the end because I love me a bleak ending. I don't know, I'm a cynical person, so I would have loved it ending on that. Like, no, we're fucked. We didn't beat the Russians. They took over. No, we got to have a little happy ending.
Yeah,
and we learned that thanks to the inspiration of the Wolverines, we fought back, and we finally got our country back, and we got a nice little monument to the kids who died, except for Aardvark.
Fuck him.
Yeah. You know,
not the right color.
Yeah. And it's like they'll never, I was like, we'll never forget the sacrifices the Wolverines made. God bless America. Yada yada yada.
GBA.
That's it.
Wow.
So there you have it. That's how you survive a Russian invasion.
And Google's telling us we have to wrap up in the next 6 minutes or we have to start another call.
Well, we're going to wrap up in the next 6 minutes.
Oh, my God, Jack. It's so fun having you on again.
Wow, this was a lifetime achievement for me here to wax poetic about one of my most formative films.
Well, that's even better because there's a second Red Dawn.
Well, there's a remake, not
yeah. So you get to do it all over again with us in the future.
Yeah, I can tell.
No, we got to do it now.
Well, no, we're not doing it now. We'll do it. We're not doing it now.
Yeah, no, I meant now.
Of course, we're going to do it because I got to point out Hey, that's where I got my hand job under the bleacher right there, and all
You
the
knew that
Pontiac
moment, of
fucking
course.
sites up there.
This is where I used to drain the J shots. This is where I got my HJs. Yeah,
I've never actually seen. I've seen bits of it. I've never watched the Red Dawn remake all the way through.
I watched it once, and it was just so fucking forgettable. It really is not. I think if we want to do it for completeness' sake, I'm totally on board. But
it's not going to be a 3-hour spectacle like this. That's for sure. There's not going to be a lot to talk about. It's going to be us waxing poetic over which bleachers got hand jobs under.
Right.
Jack, we expect you to come up with your HJ stories too. Like, we'll need that because that episode's going to be 20 minutes long.
Also,
wet dreams.
Yeah, and also have your wet dream story ready.
All right,
that's going to be a golan-globus after dark episode. Apparently,
yeah, definitely. No children involved with that one.
No children involved.
But yes, let's wrap this up. Thanks, Jack. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Once again, it was nothing but fun with you guys.
Thank
so
you.
Happy we could do this.
Excellent.
You thought that. And by the way, we stand with Ukraine. All kidding aside, I hope Ukraine. I hope Putin has a fucking aneurysm and is a drooling cripple. And fuck him. People are dying, losing their homes because some guy's having a pissing contest with the Western world, and it's fucking bullshit.
Bullshit.
But what isn't bullshit is next week is our fucking 200th episode.
200.
I thought we'd be done by 2-0. I can't believe we've done it this far. I really don't.
Think about how many years it's taken us to get here.
Yeah.
Over 4.
No, almost 4.
Almost 4.
Yeah.
Well, you got to conclude Tippy Taps. Then
we're way past 200 for Tippy Taps, so we don't include it.
Anyways.
But this, you know what? I'm not even going to fucking tell you guys what we're doing. You're going to have to tune in for the 200th episode. All I'm saying is it's a huge canon movie. Yeah, we're doing a canon movie. Shocker. We've been holding on to it for a while because it's that big. It has a huge canon star in it.
Apparently, I follow this Instagram feed that's only for this movie. I didn't even know I followed it.
Also,
I can't wait.
We might have. I'm not going to call it till we got it in the can. We might have a brand new big guest for this episode, but we haven't locked it down yet. But I'm very optimistic that it will work out, and we're going to have a great fucking episode.
It just might be Griff debuting a new voice.
I hope that's not it. 'Cause I want people to listen.
Look, my Rambo numbers are off the charts.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll tune in next week for the 200th celebration of Golan-Globus Theater and keep it warm.